Welcome to the front lines. Welcome to the RazörForce offensive. I am your intrepid commander, Razorfist, alongside the trench gun toting tactical hobo. But if we were a little bit late, it's because I had to pick up one of our compatriots. You all should be familiar with the Rear Admiral Terangel.
Rear Admiral.
Super excited. The tactical hobo, are you with us, buddy?
Reporting for duty.
Well, anything happen, folks? As we sit here, I am actually oiling my guns for no reason at all. But enough about my bodybuilding career. Yes, so anything happened, fellas? Anything happened recently? Nothing?
Well, you know, it's interesting. This is definitely a historical day because we're soon going to be heading into Civil War II and World War III at the same time.
Hey, two for the price of one. Ladies, gentlemen, Donald Trump is officially the first president to ever be elected in a courtroom. Take a bow. How wonderfully historic is this, guys? Oh my God. Okay, where were you when you heard, folks?
Sitting at my computer, and actually was watching your.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. It was. Wow. What about you, hobo?
Oh, I was just working like a normie, you know, because someone's got to support all these illegals coming in.
We'll take care of the echo, by the way, guys. And his audio's a little weird because we're kind of on a Discord call so that we can all hear each other. We'll fix it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of wonder if Trump's gonna write a book from prison. Maybe something about his struggle, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. Are they going to send him to a camp or a comf? But yeah, so we should probably talk about all the particulars here. Okay, let's go around the horn here. Let's talk about what this means. I mean, I guess I'll just start off right here. I don't think he sees prison time. This is all about obstruction. This is a weak conviction in a biased district, in front of a biased jury, in front of a biased judge, with biased jury instructions, by the way, that I think had a lot to do with this verdict, actually. This is about obstruction. Apparently his sentencing is scheduled like 4 days out from the GOP convention, which is like, why not? Just a bit on the nose, don't you think, gentlemen? Maybe learn a little more subtlety. I don't know.
No, this is 100%. About obstruction. They just want to show that they can mess with it and stop it. They're having complete opposite.
Yeah. Sorry about his audio. You were actually sounding a lot better. You want to go in your volume settings and just make sure real quick that you're not cranked up again? His mic was a little hot before the stream. We kind of sorted it out, but it sounds like it borked itself. But anyways, yeah, I personally see this as it was obstruction from the beginning. Hobo, what about your take? Sorry, before we move on.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I mean, they're trying to do anything they can, but it's going to backfire on them. I mean, they're really retarded if they don't see this.
Yeah, I just don't see any way. I don't see any way by which this is really like a credible prosecution of any kind. What this really is at the end of the day is the latest manifestation of obstruction. The only people, like, I think the most important question maybe to ask is, who does it mobilize? Because I don't think it mobilizes the left much. They already hated Trump. They already wanted him in prison. This isn't like a Christmas gift to the left. There's some of them that are gloating on social media, but I do note that they're curiously muted. Like most of the prominent lefty accounts that I follow, like Stephen King, the most he could even manage is the Republican presidential candidate is now a convicted felon. Yeah, and Joe Biden's an unconvicted one. What's your point? You know what I mean? Like even their victory laps are kind of weak. It seems like a very muted response from the left, which I think is very telling. It's not really, in my estimation, going to energize them. in that way. Styx, I was watching Styx's stream earlier. You guys should go check out Styx Hexenhammer if you haven't. But he was saying this kicks Trump's victory prospects up to about 90%. Do you think this improves his chances? Because I don't know that I would go that high, but I agree with Styx in this regard. I think this actually helps him. What do you think, Hobo?
Yeah, I think in the polls it's going to help him, but dude, we got 8 months until Inauguration Day. A lot of shit can happen, and who knows what cards they have up their sleeve, because they're kind of desperate now. That's the thing. When they get desperate, who knows what they're going to try next.
Well, exactly, and we've seen them grasp at ever more straws over a larger period of time, and this just seems like the latest manifestation of that. Godspeed to all the clankers posting the spoons in the chat, by the way. We are live on YouTube and Rumble and maybe Unauthorized, I'm not sure. But regardless, so what happens next, folks? Republicans, everybody, I guess it's time to brandish your ballpoint pens. You have oodles of sternly worded letters to write, and of course you have all those fruitless, pointless, vapid House committee hearings to convene. So, chop chop, you chodes. Those sternly worded letters aren't going to write themselves.
Well, the thing is, we've discovered now, since the precedent has been set, we know that any pig shit like DA from any 3,000 counties in the U.S. can just file charges against somebody, right? Because they don't like them. Right. So where the hell are all the Republicans filing charges against Biden? Oh wait, they don't have a dick, so they're not going to do it. And honestly, I can't blame them, because we know that the Republican DAs, man, their car would mysteriously, something bad would happen to it if they started filing charges against Biden, right?
Go off, Tactical Hobo. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Oh, folks, we've unleashed the hobo here today. I'm just waiting for, imagine if the roles were reversed. No, imagine if the contents of your skull were reversed, you statist asshat. Screw you. Do something, shit, or get off the pot. We're looking for action. We're not looking for more platitudes. And I don't know, if you're wondering why liars and extortionists were allowed as witnesses, Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, who admitted on the stand to an even more serious federal crime than the one Trump was accused of. If you're wondering why liars and extortionists and blackmailers were allowed as witnesses, just take a beat and realize this is also an accurate description for D.A. Allen Bragg. What a corpulent sack of shit Allen Bragg is. Is there... Basically, but you're correct. I think you're correct, Hobo. You hit on something more important there. There's so many Soros DAs in this country, and how many of us have been blowing the whistle on Soros DAs for just years? What a major problem it was. Man, this is something that action needs to be taken on. I mean, what's a major victory on the front of getting rid of a Soros DA? The last time I heard about it was DeSantis paying lip service to it and not really doing much on the subject down in Florida. What have you heard on this? Anything?
I mean, wasn't there actually surprising recent development in Portland where they got rid of some leftist DA and put a former Republican in? That's probably the best they can do in Portland.
Right.
But it was whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's about as far to the right as you're going to get in Portland, for Christ's sake. It's a weird state, that Oregon is, just generally. But I don't know. I think we're all being a little hard on the legal system here, folks. It seemed like a pretty fair Cardassian trial to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. I was watching scenes of that last night, actually.
Were you?
Yeah.
It wasn't inspired by some of the jury instructions getting leaked and whatever. Did you see Sebastian Gorka wrote an article, because he actually spent some time in the courtroom, and he basically wrote what he saw. And as soon as I read that, I think it was on his Substack or something, I was like, oh, okay, this is probably a conviction then. This is probably a conviction. It's a meaningless conviction that's going to be, this is going to be appealed immediately. Even Trump's reaction. Did you see the reaction from Trump?
I haven't watched that yet. No, I've been.
Let me see if I can find it real quick, and maybe we'll play it for our audience. Here we go. Everybody's been playing this, but it's important for our audience to see it. Let me see if we can. Here we go. Capture for you guys. His remarks. Straight out of Compton.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6%.
Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. The wrong button was bound to... Hold on. I started playing the trend. I'm so sorry, you guys. Let me remove that.
Hilarious, by the way.
I'm so sorry about that. Let me... Okay.
Hey, I need to program my VCR. Can you come over?
All right, hold on.
This was a
I'm gonna cue this up again, and I got this. That was hilarious. Okay, display capture. Let's make sure that this is actually rigged to the right thing. Okay, cool. The button on my Stream Deck was rigged up to the wrong thing. That was the problem. All right, here we go. But did you guys actually see the remarks before?
No, I have not.
No, I didn't actually get to see his reaction.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I had the wrong thing programmed there. You guys should pick up Ghost of the Badlands, though. It's pretty good. It's getting good reviews. All right, we're going to go ahead and play this now. Sorry about that. Please, real quick, let's confirm that it's actually showing before I actually play it. Double check. All right, cool. We're good.
Hey, we're not going to jail. This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area.
That high in New York.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA, and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
Tremendously innocent.
It's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win. Because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. That did not sound to me like he's taking the legal repercussions, rather, that seriously. Even in his response, the left's response, his response, the right's response, like if anything on the right, everyone's kind of saying, wow, so he's basically president. Like it doesn't seem like it achieved the intended effect, unless, of course, the intended effect is obstructionism, to keep him off the campaign trail. I should mention that after this news came out, I don't know if you saw this, Taryn, Tactical Hobo, but the Trump fundraising website crashed within like 5 minutes of this announcement and has been down for a good chunk of time. I already donated. It's been a long time since I donated to a presidential campaign. I'm done with this. I don't know how you guys feel.
Dude, I've literally never donated to a political candidate, and now I'm about to fucking do it. I've literally never done it. Now it's gonna happen.
Okay, Taryn, what do you see coming out of this. We talked about a lot while you were sorting out your mic. I'll go ahead and mute mine so we don't get any echo. Let's hear, like, how are you feeling about that? When you first saw it, what do you think about his reaction? What does it indicate? Do you think, let me just, to start you off, do you think he sees a minute of time in prison?
Prison time? No. I would say it gets appealed immediately, obviously. And really, it just feels like he's going through the motions. Like, he knew from day one. So, what's next? What is the next? He appeals, turn. Does he see time in prison? I say they push for it when they realize that they don't have the thought that. That's once we get close to election, they're gonna be going like, oh no, we gotta get him in prison. We gotta get him in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna crank you up a little bit. You are might want to turn your sensitivity up just a hair, because I'll just mute myself when you talk, so you don't have to worry about the echo so much. So just so your mic picks you up a little bit better, because you're cutting in and out a little bit. But it is coming along. He is speaking up, guys. It's just the volume levels. I'm editing them as we go along. Just bear with us. But in the meantime, it has been a wild day, and you guys are sounding off. We should probably get to some of your questions. I'll actually start with, because we put out a call before every single episode of the RazörForce Offensive, which we do every single week. I put out a call for all of your questions. So there was another big story that a lot of people have totally forgotten about because of this, understandably so. That is, of course, Joseph Smith, not the cult leader, asks... thoughts on Brandon Herrera losing his bid for Texas District 23 to the incumbent SJW Rhino. I mean, dude, he put up a fight. It was like he was outfunded like 10-1. He spent $1 million. His opponent spent almost 10. And he came within 400 votes of winning. Boy, it's wild how a lot of establishment candidates are winning really, really close races, all in the Southwest. Very, very strange how that seems to happen again and again and again and again and again. Have I mentioned again? It seems to happen a fair amount. I'm Gorsh. Oh, shucks.
So I haven't been paying close attention to the race, but I did look up the the district that he's in, that they're running in, and it's like right along the border. So. You know, generally how that goes, but it's pretty close considering. Like, he did pretty well considering the district he's running in, I think.
Yes, it should be said, it's a very left-leaning district. He was massively competitive. If he had run in a different district in Texas, he probably pulls it out, to be honest, because he was up against a pretty weak candidate with a lot of mainstream support, but still, you know, his message plays better in redder areas of Texas. I think he kind of picked a bad district to run in, to be honest. But that's of course the dichotomy, because the worse the candidate is, the more you want to get him out of office, right? But the worst candidates are in the bluest areas. So in order to take these back, look, the Republicans are going to have to start learning how to fight on enemy territory a little bit, because there's a number of mayorships, there's a number of governor's races, there's a number of senator and representative races that they need to take back. These used to be red seats. And gosh, I'm thinking of a lot of races here in Arizona. It wasn't that long ago Phoenix had a Republican mayor, but now it's like the Arizona GOP have just given up. They don't even care. They don't even care if the race is competitive at all. Oh, there's too many Mexicans. It's like, okay, then get better messaging for Mexicans and win a race, for Christ's sake. Like, get this going. It wasn't that long ago. But you're seeing this across the country. I think Brandon Herrera, the wider narrative here is you can be much more competitive than you think you will be. If he had even the smallest modicum of support from the mainstream GOP in the state of Texas, he probably wins that race, even with whatever chicanery might have gone on there. But yeah, that's kind of my read of that. But either way, Godspeed to Brandon Herrera, because he kicked ass and took names in an area where he shouldn't necessarily have been able to. Brockenstein, an unrelated issue. Raymond Chandler or Dashiell Hammett, best book of your preferred choice. I go Raymond Chandler every time, although I do like Dashiell Hammett. Best from both. From Raymond Chandler, I like The High Window, and from Dashiell Hammett, I like Red Harvest. I kind of ripped it off in a fantasy setting and called it The Long Moonlight. Here's a question that's more germane to the events of the day. Because now we're getting into a season where we're talking about VP picks. And probably all three of us rather, should talk about prospective VP picks. But why isn't, so Viola Willie asks, why isn't Kari Lake a VP pick? Does her Senate run rule her out? Do you think she should run for president as Trump's successor? I feel she is too much of a star in her own right to play second fiddle, even though she is loyal to Trump. I'll just, for my part, before either of you talk, I'll just say I like Kari Lake. She needs to focus on her current race, though, because there's no, in this state, even if this was a blue state, Ruben Gallego would be too radical for the state. There's no reason for him to be competitive at all. This guy clowns on his own constituents on social media. He mocks them all as poor and stupid. I mean, he's an absolute douche canoe. Look through his Twitter history if he hasn't deleted it all. One time, I remember mentioning how bad crime was in his district. And the dude had or whoever runs his social media team, had GIFs. And every time somebody was replying to him, he was mocking them as, well, then run against me and lose. Run against me and lose. Like, this guy's a douche. He's the biggest far left douche in the entire state of Arizona. There's no reason he should even be competitive. So I'd like her to focus just on the Senate thing. I have a feeling she was on the short list for VP, though, because I know Trump is really, really high on Kari Lake, and so are a lot of people in his sort of orbit. What about you, Taryn? What do you think?
For VP pick, I would have to say Matt Gaetz. He would be my favorite. Kari Lake, she stands on her own. I see her running in, what's it going to be, 2028?
That's a good prediction. I could absolutely see that. I think she ultimately runs for presidential politics if her Senate ambitions pan out. But that's an if. That's an if. What about you, Hobo? I mean, you and I are, all three of us are in Arizona now. I mean, we've watched Kari Lake be a local star in journalism and suddenly have this political career. She, of course, rightfully defeated Katie Hobbs for the governorship, but that was another race here in the Southwest that went to an establishmentarian type, and it was separated by 500 votes. Even if we take the election as legitimate, she was within a few votes of winning. So, I don't know. What do you think, Hobo?
Yeah, I think she is focusing on the Senate race, and she definitely needs to, because we need a change. We've had 2 Democrats senators in Arizona. I mean, what the hell, So, as far as who Trump would pick for his VP, man, there's I wouldn't mind Vivek, but I honestly don't have any clue who he's going to pick. I mean, I would love to see Rand Paul, as would lots of people, but.
Yeah, I think, of course, Rand Paul's the dream pick. Although, do you want to take Rand Paul out of the Senate? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I love Rand Paul. I don't want him out of there. I don't always agree with him, just like I didn't always agree with his dad. But, folks, with this news coming down, and believe me, we are going to talk about it even more. There is so much to talk about with this Trump case, and we're going to get to all your super chats on the subject, too. I think there's another story. Usually when you have a big story like this, there's generally an element of burying the lead. And if that is the case, then I think this might be it. Because at the same time this verdict came down, it was reported by Politico. And I'm going to read the headline now. Biden secretly gave Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia with U.S. weapons. The Biden administration has quietly given Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia, solely near the area of Kharkiv, using U.S.-provided weapons. 3 U.S. officials and 2 other people familiar with the move said Thursday a major reversal that will help Ukraine to better defend its second-largest city. Keep in mind, this is written by Politico, a bunch of hacks. Quote, the president recently directed his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use U.S. weapons for counterfire purposes in Kharkiv, so Ukraine can hit back at Russian forces hitting them or preparing to hit them, unquote. One of the U.S. officials said, adding that the policy of not allowing long-range strikes inside Russia, quote, has not changed. Ukraine asked the U.S. to make this policy change only after Russia's offensive on Kharkiv began this month, the official added. All the people were granted anonymity to discuss internal decisions that haven't been announced. Of course, they are not announced, for Christ's sake. But this comes out, dude. You have to understand the way presidential politics work, or White House politics work. A lot of times, little leaks will come out ahead of an announcement to sort of soften the blow of something that's really douchey or really corrupt. I have a feeling that was the case here. This might have actually been kind of soft leaked by the administration. Where do you think this is coming from, Hobo?
Yeah, I mean, it could be to cover something else up, and especially with the Trump stuff going on, it's like they try and slip these things under the radar, right, when there's something bigger going on. So it's like, oh, well, we're just escalating again towards World War III.
That's
no
all.
big deal. No big deal. We're all gonna die. No,
That's all.
Civil War II and World War III coming up.
Yep. Hey, Taryn, you want to get to some super chats before we move on to the next thing? Because Biden's had a week. It's pretty crazy that obviously this whole Trump case is going to dominate the news cycle probably for the next week, because Biden has just been shitting his britches every 15 minutes this week, and we have some pretty wild stories about that. But and yeah, go ahead and hit us with the super chats first.
First off, Zocom and Altlag, thank you for supporting us on Rumble. They've become monthly supporters. Real quick, we had a big one earlier. I want to get to that one especially. Can't find it, sorry. Generalissimo Liberty. Trump just won New York State and other blue areas. All urban blue areas grew 3 sizes more red today.
Do you think this helps in blue areas? You really do? I don't know. It could. I think it helps more in red areas. I think this turns Trump's base thermonuclear. I do think some independent, gang, there are people who booed Trump at that libertarian convention who are now going to vote Trump because of this. There's no doubt in my mind. Maybe not a lot of them. Who knows? But straight up, you get libertarians dealing with issues, because Trump's going to have to confront the issue of judicial reform. Gang, I, of course, did a video many years ago with a title that was blatantly stolen from Michael Savage. I regret nothing, called The Stench from the Bench. And that rant has aged very, very well. I highly recommend you watch it. Judicial reform has been one of my pet issues ever since I've been active in politics. There is no greater dictatorship in America than a judge with a political agenda, which is one of the reasons that the left in this country, as they have lost the ability to argue and debate and to make their points and actually persuade the public, have relied ever more on these unelected judges, on the Supreme Court, on particularly circuit judges, really, and even some appeals judges. But there's a reason that George Soros, when he wanted to accrue more political power, began donating more to DAs and such. So I don't think that's an accident. All right, let's go ahead and do a few more, sir.
Let us see. Legalize adulthood. Thank you for that 100. Total BS. The entire world is laughing at us. Trump 2024, baby. Let's fucking go.
Right on. Let's see. We got to really, really roll on these. So keep on going, sir.
Joseph Burton, thank you for the 20. So today is wild. Don't you love that Biden admin okayed the use of our weapons to allow the Ukraine to hit Russia? Yeah, we just talked about that.
Yeah, great Ramones album, Rocket to Russia.
Sky News reported on. Look up Kerch Bridge. The Ukrainians wiped it off the map.
So they already launched an offensive right after that. Not like our offensive, but still.
Crusader Saracen. Trump should write a book in prison. Perhaps a book about his struggle.
Hey, you stole my joke. What the hell? I'll take it, though.
Obsidian Mug. Don't black pill. And don't get captured.
Bro, if anything, to me, this is a white pill today. I don't consider this a black pill. Let's put it in Hobo. What do you consider? Do you consider this black pill or white pill? To me, this kicks Trump past the 60% mark. He may be, teetering towards 70% on getting elected just because of that. Because, okay, if he gets acquitted, then, okay, you make a point about they're trying to go after him and it was fruitless and maybe we celebrate a little bit. Haha, neener. But this has happened before. Other cases he's been acquitted of, and it hasn't really driven a whole bunch of momentum. But you do some authoritarian bullshit like this, bro, you're gonna really rile up his base. I don't know. Do you agree, Hobo?
I'm gonna throw out the gray pill here. Actually, there's good and bad to it. Like, definitely, it's mobilizing Trump's base more. I think it will open some people's eyes up, but so many people are they're set in their Trump derangement syndrome, and they're never gonna change, and they're not done trying whatever the hell they're gonna do next. So, I think there's good and bad for it. It's really a mixed bag, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, you want to get to some more, Taryn? Because it's wild. You guys are going crazy. Doubtless, we are not going to be able to get to every single super chat, but fortunately, we're streaming tomorrow night, so we'll be able to get to everything tomorrow. But we're going to try and get to as many as possible, because holy shit, do we have a lot of people here. Godspeed to all of the RazörForce for joining us. Yes, we are talking about the trial. What this is all going to result in? I don't know. You had to know that the legal system would never forgive Donald Trump for trying to neuter the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and roll back judicial power by killing Roe v. Wade. Like, you had to know that if they were going to strike against Trump, it was going to have to be through the legal system, because the legal system holds him most responsible for the rolling back of their dictatorial power. That's a read on this that I'm not really seeing out here. There is an element of judicial vengeance to this. Activist judges were really harmed by the Donald Trump presidency. He appointed a lot of constitutionalist judges. So that there is that element to it. But yeah, Taryn, keep right on rolling, bro.
Joseph Burton. Can't wait for the punished Trump arc to officially begin. Voting in person and by mail for the outlaw president.
Indeed. I talked about that, of course, when the mugshot heard round the world rant was recorded. But boy, America loves its outlaws, and could you make him more of an outlaw? This is what I mean. If he had been acquitted, it kind of helps him. But this, you turned him into Tupac. What are you doing? What are you doing? Of course, fortunately, no one on the Epstein list has been convicted of anything. That's what's really important. That's what I really, really appreciate that. Anyway, keep right on rolling, dude.
Generic name here. What's hilarious about this is that they are on the verge of turning Trump into a Nelson Mandela-like figure, minus the commie leanings. Backlash is going to be ugly.
This is a white lash. This is a white lash. And that is a good read, though. Keep right on going.
Scott. Boy, I can't waiting for Republicans to respond by talking about norms, holding hearings, and giving morose sound bites on Fox about it.
morose sound bites. There we are. Sorry if you guys are getting any echo here. Actually, I think some of the echo is coming out of Hobo's mic a little bit because he's maybe listening on his speakers. But I'm muting him when Taryn talks so that we don't get that. So hopefully that sounds a little bit better. You are sounding better, by the way, Taryn. So, all right. Keep going.
Fingers crossed. Let's see. Quiet Rioter. The election was handed to Donald on a silver platter prior to conviction. Now it's a platinum platter with Joe serving it in a maid outfit. Gross.
Love it. All right.
Mario was just watching a called White Collar before the stream. I don't know what that is. It was a show from a show called White Collar. Jesus Christ. Anyway, filmed in New York. My God, just seeing how clean the city looked 10 years ago accentuates how bad it has gotten.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's worth pointing out that like when Death Wish was filmed, New York really wasn't that crime-ridden, right? Death Wish kind of predicted the future a little bit because New York got really bad in the late 70s and early 80s. Death Wish was in the early to mid 70s. It's kind of crazy. Those old crime movies from the 70s were kind of predictive in a way.
David, no one is above the rule of law. Except when you are a member of the Uniparty. Then you are, in fact, above the rule of law.
Very, very good point. Very good point. All right. Okay. I can also read a few if you need. Okay, no problemo. Let me go ahead and find those. Thank all of you guys for joining us. We are going to get to as much as humanly possible. We are, of course, talking for those who are coming in late. Donald Trump found guilty on, what was it, 36 counts or something ridiculous like that. A charge and a conviction completely without precedent of any kind. And this despite one of the star witnesses, Michael Cohen, confessing to an even more egregious federal crime in the very same trial. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Foamy99 says, Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones $850,000 to go away. I don't remember seeing him in court. Right? He did perjure himself, but not in court. Mark Fragola. Libs complain that the system is corrupt and the system hates Trump, so doesn't this mean Trump should gain support from the liberals? You'd think, but there are no more liberals. Primarch Vulcan. Did you happen to notice that one of De Niro's security detail, I did notice this, at the Trump trial was one of the Capitol Hill police officers that testified at the January 6th House Commission? I did notice that, Primarch Vulcan. Did you notice that his medical records in the hospital, after claiming to have been beaten and whatever else, have been classified? That's curious. You'd think that would be something important to establish, given that it's crucial to the story that he told that led to the attempted conviction of a sitting president. Alec Urban. Tulsi for VP. Both her and Trump are enemies of the Uniparty. You know, I've been a vocal critic of Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's smart. I think she's a lot smarter. She did kind of the same thing as Kyrsten Sinema, but she's much more shrewd. But I have to say, I heard her being interviewed on Michael Savage the other day on his podcast, and she impressed me tremendously on that. I am much more open to her being VP after hearing that interview. It is clear that her roots politically are actually a little more on the conservative side, which is interesting. Her journey is more that she started out more conservative, took a leftward slant, and then came back home a little bit as her party went crazy. That's kind of the vibe that I got from. I still don't fully trust her. Don't get me wrong. I don't trust any politician, for Christ's sake, but I'm more open to Tulsi at this point. Lampshade. As shit as it is here in California, glad I'm not in New York right now. Happen to be listening to you to Just 'Cause You Got the Power by Motorhead, folks, when I heard one of their greatest songs, in my opinion. Matt Grendel. In 2020, I voted in New Mexico. No one ever asked for an ID, only a name and address. Because they matched, I was allowed to vote. I own a phone book. I may or may not have voted 40 times that day. My goal is 50 this year. Well, if there's no election security, disavow. Black Mesa just donated $17.76 to Trump. Do you think there's any way for upstate New York to split from the New York City area? It would be solid red just like Eastern Oregon. Well, you know what would solve this problem? It wouldn't solve it as much in New York State as in some other states, but of course, the video that I made many, many moons ago called State Electoral College Now. It's the only solution. It's the only way major blue areas are not going to run the entire country. It's the only way less than 10 cities are not going to elect the president. The problem that the Electoral College was intended to address in the 1790s is an even bigger problem on a state level. And each state, if no serious Republican right now is not thinking seriously about actually pushing a state-level electoral college on a state level. It's very, very important. Wade Safechuck and the Wandering Neverland Band. The Trump in Prison book I want to read is If I Did It. No! If I grabbed her by the... Yeah. Anyway, Six Blades Gojiro. Terrence Howard 2024. Who's with me? I thought he was going to be replaced by Don Cheadle. The figure 13. Is SCOTUS able to overturn this before sentencing? Boy, that would be the fastest the Supreme Court ever heard a case. I don't know about that. We'll see. It's definitely going to appeal. It's definitely going to be overturned. I have a feeling the wheels of justice will grind as slowly as humanly possible. For Christ's sake, this entire case dates back to 2015. This is why it's so weak and how you know it's going to be appealed. If they had anything of substance on Trump in this case, they would have pushed it forward in 2016. But they didn't because it was weak then. The only thing that changed is Soros put a bunch of people in place that would be willing to push this boulder up the hill. And because they were amenable to the Sisyphean task, they were thereby enlisted in this massive miscarriage of justice. The mistrial of the century, we are calling it here today. Aaron, what separates the winners from the losers is how a person reacts to each new twist of fate. Trump, 2014. Petoskey Stone and the Uper Light something. It's cut off. New anthem. Battle Hymn of the Banana Republic. I like the way you think. Don't get Amazing Atheist too excited, though. Triarch Vis Group? Vi Group? Whatever. The left's biggest mistake, arrogance, ego, and hubris. This was a good day for people who love America. They showed their full deck. It's true. Mask off moments. Has anything helped Trump over the years? And I'm putting this question to you, Hobo. Has anything helped Trump more over the course of his presidency and political career than his propensity, just by how much his very existence abrates against their sensibilities, of forcing his enemies and the entire uniparty to go fully mask off in front of their voters after hiding it for so many decades? Hobo? Oh, shoot. Did I have you muted? Sorry. Hobo? Hit us.
Oh, hello.
Yes, sorry about that.
Oh,
I had
okay,
you muted
yeah,
for the for the echo.
Yeah, I was saying, man, now it's crazy really how long we've been dealing with this now, because Trump came on the scene in 2015. We know that we now later found out that the previous administration was spying on him, right? So he's been being persecuted for almost a decade, and he's still going stronger than ever. It's absolutely mind-blowing how much how he can deal with all this. He's
perfect for the moment in a way, because you needed a bull in a china shop, and the bull, once confronted, needed to keep right on going and knocking over fine china. That's what the country needed for a long, long time. We had a masturbatory coven of self-interest in Washington. We needed that bull in a china shop, and we needed one that was just indomitable, a juggernaut, really. And dude, he's got no quit in him. Trump is perfectly suited to the task, really. Let's see here. One more thing. We'll do 2 more, and then we'll move on to the next story, because we got quite a few more stories, actually, to get to. So we will be talking more about the Trump trial, do not worry, especially as we get through your super chats. Watchman State. Many Libertarian Party members booed him for supporting the NRA instead of GOA and not offering anything. Later, he did offer cabinet seats. He has many Libertarian Party votes after Chase Oliver, whose name doubles as an instruction. Scabrous Wretch. So now it's legal to go after the prior establishment. Just asking for 2025. Yeah, good question. Paladin Dragoon writer. How long till they announce the restoration of the draft over Ukraine? Godspeed. I mean, given the military recruitment figures, I don't know that you can launch a major military campaign under these circumstances. I just don't see... Hobo, you know a few people who have had military careers. We both do, incidentally. What do you see happening on that? Because, boy, Biden's been threatening on the draft for some time.
Yeah, I mean, if there was anything to make Biden even more unpopular, it would be that. So I don't see him doing it before, we determine who the next president's going to be. 'Cause that's basically like a needle in nail in the coffin there.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Exactly. But, of course, the one great thing about Biden is that he's a magnificent speaker. In fact... Joe Biden, Dr. Jill, who's basically forcing an Alzheimer's patient to campaign nationally for the presidency, she claimed on The View, just, 2 days ago? It's President Trump who can't put a sentence together. That's what she says. I'm going to play this. Please hold your laughter. Let me see if I can get the screen up. Please verify that we have it on the screen, if you could, Taryn. And then I will play it.
I'm watching.
All right, here we go, guys.
Well, Dr. Biden, the first presidential debate is less than a month away, and we've debated at this table. There have been people that have thought President Biden shouldn't even debate President Trump just due to the fact that Donald Trump will gaslight, he overtalks. Yes. There are no guardrails. So
he stalks.
Yeah. Well, I happen to believe
How
it's really
he
important,
speak?
more than ever, to have a debate with guardrails. What is the strategy that the president has going into this? Any tips you'd have for a debate that we could pull off where we could actually hear our candidates?
No, they've built that in where they're going to turn off those mics so that somebody can't ramble or scream at somebody. Not that my husband would be the one doing that. No, and
no, not unless he's talking to a room full of military.
And
calling them sons of bitches.
American people deserve a debate because you need to see your choices. You need to see Trump, and you need to see the president, and you need to see the differences. And my husband's, and you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has. And then you'll see somebody who, like you're saying, I'm going to use Joy's words, can't put a sentence together, and everything is beautiful, and it's wonderful.
Tremendous.
Big league. Yeah, tremendous. Yeah. So I think the American people deserve to see the two men who are running for this office, because your choice is going to be clear.
Yeah.
Well,
Is this bitch serious?
So, you heard it here first, folks. Trump is the one who can't put a sentence together. Haven't you heard? Come on,
I've been hearing a bunch of... I've been hearing all this stuff on the internet from the left. It's like, Trump's got dementia. Trump's falling down all the time. Trump's wearing diapers. It's like all the exact same shit we said about Biden.
Right.
Just using it.
Well, guys, I just want to remind you what an eloquent, magnificent statesman Joseph R. Biden is. All right, guys? I won't hear this defamation, okay? So we're going to watch real quick the magnificent orator that is Joe Biden. This is just this last week. Here we are.
He calls the erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill patriots. He calls and the erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill, patriots.
The erectionists, folks. Did you hear about that? Are you a January 6th erectionist? Tactical hobo, are you?
Only after taking super male vitality.
Only after. That's. Whoo, lad, folks. Relax, Jill. He can string a sentence together. It's just a speech impediment. I think someone needs to take her aside. How many years? Speaking of gaslighting, how many years have they been gaslighting us that it's just a speech impediment with Slow-Mo Joe? But I don't know.
One moment. The erectionists, weren't those the gay OnlyFans guys that were like screwing in the Senate or the Congress or something?
You know, I think that's correct. You know, color me crazy, but I don't remember Trump calling out to recently deceased politicians during any of his campaign speeches. Unless, of course, he was on stage debating Biden. But, you know, anyone remember that? He called out to, like, a senator lady who was dead or a representative or something who had been dead for, like, 2 years. What's the quote from 1984? The party's final directive was to ignore the product of your own eyes. It was their ultimate and most important command. No reason I brought that up. Just felt like sharing. Books are neat. Maybe one day Biden will be able to read one. But yeah. So that was The View. Hardly recognized them without their cauldron, but it was a hoot and a half. Always to hear from them. At what point, you remember when you were growing up and The View was like, it's just contemporary women talking about contemporary issues. They talk about like child rearing and when did The View just turn into like the least informed Algonquin of just leftist claptrap on planet Earth? Like, Babs was always left-wing and biased, but like, when did it make that hard turn? Was it 2016 like everything else?
Probably. I mean, how long has that show been around now, though?
Mid-90s? Like 94?
It's that long? Damn, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I just started hearing about it around, because of the Trump derangement. Really, I didn't pay any attention to it before that.
Yeah. It was just that thing. It was, I don't know, man. It just seemed to hang that hard left turn in the 2016 election. Although you still saw them in like 2012 when Mitt Romney was running. I remember they were very, very political in that one. A little bit in 2008. But it just seems like gradually they turned into like an MSNBC show. But like, except absolutely no one. Like, the people on MSNBC are completely informed. They're just lying, right? The people on The View don't know shit and are lying, right? It's that's kind of the difference between them. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to a few more super chats real quick, if you're okay with that.
The Azure Nightmare. Thank you for the 50. January 6th erectionist. Any baby born in the same country as Joe. Thank you for that 50.
Right on.
Scott. If GOP DAs aren't willing to partake in MAD after this, then just pack the GOP up. DAs need to investigate Dem politicians in red states tomorrow.
Good point, actually.
Draco. Happy Trump Election Day. My guy is certified street cred now, and the shackles are off, so he can campaign anywhere he pleases. Orange Phoenix Rising.
Godspeed, fellow erectionist. Call your doctor if you have an Alzheimer's hallucination lasting 4 hours or more, please. I'm kidding, of course. The only thing Biden can do for 4 hours at a stretch is sleep.
Monkey in a Panzer. One thing I've noticed about this, the Get Owned Trump posting has been really weak. Kind of feels like they realized they screwed up doing this.
I think some of the more lucid commentators on the left, in their darker refrains and their quietest moments, can and do know deep down this was a bridge too far. This was too much. they can't go this far and expect the election to go well. Because it's like in 2020, you had the fear of COVID, and that drove a lot of the electoral decisions. Now, we know that was a fucky election. There was a lot going on there. We don't need to get into that. I predicted what would happen in 2020 like 5 or 6 months before it happened, so we don't really need to go down that road. But still, there were a lot of people who did vote for Biden. Crazy, crazy people. And a lot of them were motivated by fear, right? They were motivated by fear of the Wu flu. And we know that. Well, now you don't have that. And the PSYOP's not working anymore, which I think accounts for a lot of this desperation and a lot of this more desperate action. The lawfare has a lot to do with that, personally. So anyway, keep right on going, Taryn.
Mac, thank you for the 20. American politics is March of the Retreads. AOC, Fetterman, Biden, and ad nauseum. I was raised under the idea long ago that the U.S. was the beacon of freedom to the world. What a disappointment.
Indeed.
Rolf. My family is all military. Military is run by the most disgusting of boomer elite. They treat volunteers like conscripts, burn money and blood for globalism. Suicide rates rival combat losses, worse than Amazon, yet pay less.
Oh, goodness. And under worse conditions, I imagine. Although, God, some of those Amazon warehouses, Jesus Christ. Did you see that video of that Amazon delivery chick in the van who literally, like, she jumps out of her van with the package in hand, all but throws it at the door. And there's, a surveillance camera picks this up. And she forgets to put the van in park. And it coasts forward and crashes right into the garage of the home that she's doing. While she's doing that, while she's badly delivering the package, she's also badly forgetting to actually put her van in park. I love that. I love that freaking video. But anyway.
Now, I'm not going to make the obvious joke. But
What, Taryn? What do you mean?
Women drivers.
Oh, sure. That's where you were going with that. She was not Asian, for the record. She was a NBA American. But anyway, so yeah, keep right on going before we get canceled.
Again? Sergeant Willie. Not guardrails for the debate. Bumper bowling.
Kind of, yeah. You know what? Floaties. I think of it as floaties. He's going to be wearing a helmet and floaties, essentially, for the debate. This is basically child-proofing the debate. I mean, really? A mic that you can instantly mute? Is that even a debate? Is that even a debate at that point? Because what are you really concerned about, ultimately? Him talking over. Well, I mean, did you watch the debates in 2020? Biden talked over Trump tons. A ton. And so did the moderators in all of the debates. So it's okay to interrupt as long as you're interrupting Trump, really, is what the message is going to be. And mark my words, it will happen in that debate that when Trump and Biden are on the stage, the moderator and Biden will be talking over Trump and their mics will not be shut off. Quote me on it. We've seen it happen so many times. Anybody remember the glory days when the worst debate moderator was Candy Crowley? Anybody remember those halcyon days? I sure do. I remember all the way back to 2012. Anyway, keep on going, Taryn. Man, there's so much to get to here with this trial. I can't wait to talk about all that this entails because there's even more, believe it or not. Actually, before you do, let me read this because this is just crazy. This came out within 5 hours of the verdict, and I would be surprised if this was any different hours after the verdict has actually been handed down. This is from Breitbart, but the original story is from CNN. No change, and I quote, no change in public opinion about Trump during New York trial. People, and I quote, don't really care. CNN poll analyst Harry Enton said Wednesday on News Central that polling shows most voters don't care about the New York business records case against former President Donald Trump. Enton said, quote, "It feels like only yesterday to me, John, that it began, but apparently it's 44 days. You cracked the numbers. You've run the numbers. All right, let's take a look here. Think Trump did something illegal in the New York hush money case. I've been interested in whether or not these numbers will change at all during the course of this trial." He added, simply put, they have not. Pre-opening statements. Think Trump did something illegal. 46%. After the direct examination of Michael Cohen by the prosecution, look at where we are now. 46%. The percentage of Americans who think that the charges are very serious, in fact, dropped from 40% to a little bit more than a 35% during the course of this trial. So yes, perhaps things might have changed within those 12 jurors, but when it comes to the larger American public, there has been no change. Now, this is great. Host John Berman asked, any possible reasons why? N10 said, quote, "The fact that most Americans don't really care that much. So closely following news about economy, inflation, that's number one." Is this, honestly, is Trump just going to cruise based on how ass awful the economy is? Is it literally that simple, guys? I'll put it to you, Tactical Hobo. Sorry, I'll go ahead and unmute you so you can answer.
Oh, yeah, the economy was doing great under Trump. I mean, people know this, you know. People have to buy groceries. So,
yeah,
it's pretty simple.
I've been saying for a while now, like, the best rebuttal to all that Biden has been saying for the last little while is, hey, your grocery bill, like, it's 3 times as much as it was 4 years ago. It's as simple as that. Like, open, shut case. You don't need to go much farther than that. But yeah, anyway, Taryn, keep right on a rolling, sir.
Master Gawa, if Trump returns, he'll have to arrest these commies, or they are coming for him even harder. I can't tell you how he should actually respond without glowing.
Well, on the last offensive, Hobo and I don't know if you saw that, Taryn, but on the last offensive, we were kind of asked, okay, what should Trump do about intelligence agencies? Because he came out last week and straight out declared his intent to basically review all the intelligence agencies. What needs to stay, what needs to go, and he made some very pointed remarks against the FBI. Which, by the way, is a great way to catch a bullet. It's a great way to get unalived. So, my hypothesis, and you guys could let me know what you think about it. I think I would not object, no matter how bad the economy is, no matter what is going on in the world. I don't know about the RazörForce watching right now, but I would be totally fine if Trump sat down and held panels, a panel of economic experts that he trusts, that he knows that he can trust, and intelligence officials and all that, people, again, that he trusts, to sit down. He can literally have a panel, and every single head of every single intelligence agency comes in and they review the economics of the department. They grade everything by categories. Okay, how important are they to national security? What about their crime lab? What all the things, all the counterpoints that people bring up when you say dismantle the FBI. And we just put them all alongside. They all go up in front of this panel, and they basically make their case for why they need to continue to exist. Because to me, at this point, they need to audition for the privilege. Because we should be proceeding from the assumption that they don't need to exist. They've been weaponized against the American public. The American public. They've been weaponized against the voter. They've been weaponized, certainly, against Donald Trump and anyone who countervails against the mono party. Guys, that to me, I would not object to a solid month of those panels being held. And then what needs to happen is all those panels need to compile reports, and then Trump can look over them, and one at a time, he can compare. Okay, this agency does this. Oh, that's redundant. Both the NSA and the CIA do the same thing. Okay, one of them's got to go. Or we got to fire everyone, rehire at a much smaller size, or whatever, right? He can recommend whatever action needs to happen, but he can see it in black and white. What agencies are actually doing something, what aren't. And he should proceed from the assumption that none of them need to exist. They should audition for the privilege to continue to exist because, folks, most of these agencies are chartered by the president. The president tomorrow could ink them out of existence if he wanted to. There'd be a little bit more involved in some cases. I think some of them were ratified by Congress ultimately, but most were not. Most absolutely were not. So that would be first month of his presidency. I don't care if there is fire raining from the sky. I'd be fine if that's all Trump did for the first month of his presidency. This next go around. Anyway, Taryn, keep going.
Lampshade. As bad as Amazon is, Temu is worse. Literal piles of packages being thrown to sorters after being dumped down a chute.
Interesting. Keep going.
Shakeval? Pay-per-view live. You're fired.
Yes! Yes! Live pay-per-view. Dude! Yes! The panels could be live on pay-per-view, and then at the end it would be like a season of The Apprentice. Right at the end, Trump would review what they'd all done. Fantastic, dude! And then at the end, we get multiple, you fired. Fantastic.
Generalissimo Liberty. Nancy Pelosi commented, or rather shouted, "Stop! Hammer time."
Still not the most hammered a Pelosi's ever been.
Sir Link. Razor must be on that AZ ballot counting time.
Sorry about that, guys. We had to pick up Terengel because I knew for this we would want a 3-man panel. Sorry about some of the microphone issues and stuff. We're sorting it out as we go. But, yeah, I wanted to pick up Taryn. It's hilarious. I went over there and had to come back and go back. It was the whole thing. That's why we were late. But I knew you would want Taryn here. So keep going.
God knows why.
It's silence.
Janik. Could said panel occur while these agencies are perhaps facing a wall?
I don't know what you mean, and I disavow preemptively.
I wish every alphabet agency a very stop breathing.
What?
Nothing.
What? That's the weirdest Christmas greeting I've ever heard in my life. My goodness. What a weird way to celebrate Pride Month, Taryn.
Excuse me, you mean Dinosaur Month?
Yes. Happy Christian Humility Month, ladies and gentlemen.
87 Sparker. Just got your book? We'll post pic later. God fucking speed.
Godspeed. I'm just blown away by some of the reviews on it so far. I had a 10 out of 10 the other day for the Ardan story. Just got a perfect score from, John De La Rose and a couple of other people. The Amazon reviews are crazy, so I'm blown away by how much you guys seem to be enjoying it. And, I haven't looked in the numbers or whatever, but it seems like we're probably going to get a second volume here. So I wouldn't want to talk about it until all your stuff has been shipped out, though, which it is.
Metal Minister just got booted from Michael Cohen's TikTok Live because he had the cojones to take a victory lap and say this was accountability after admitting to stealing $30K on the stand. Can't make this crap up.
Like I said, it's just wild. They wound up having a witness admit to a more serious charge than what they were charging Trump with, and they were ordered to disregard. Bro, I think the moment that really sold it for me was the jury instructions from the douchebag judge, right? Did you catch those, Taryn?
No.
It was the instructions where, okay, so he's accused of multiple crimes. So the instructions were, get this, got a jury of 12. Okay, so let's see, there's 3 different crimes. 4 people agree that he did one crime but not the others. 4 other people agree he did a different crime but not the others. Another 4 people agree that he did another crime but not the others. The instructions to the jury were, get this bullshit. If they all agree that he did a different crime but not the others, then that is considered a unanimous guilty verdict.
I don't know what he's guilty of, but he's guilty of something.
There you are, folks. That, ladies and gentlemen, was this trial. And if that doesn't sum it up for you, I don't know what will. That was the mistrial of the century right there. But I do have a feeling this is going to play into Trump's hands a bit. So keep right on rolling, Taryn. God, we got so many here. Thank you, RazörForce, for joining us. We're going to talk more about the trial. Believe me, we're going to talk a little bit more. There's also some cool news about what's actually happening on the Democratic side, because we've been talking this whole episode about some of the desperation that informed a lot of this lawfare. So the question I've been asking the whole time, and not a lot of people are asking, is, okay, what's going on behind the scenes with the Democrats? Like, strategically, what are the strategists thinking? What are they really thinking as they pull off some of these desperation maneuvers? And I think we might have just received a little bit of a hint just yesterday. It just leaked out, and I really want to talk about this. But keep rolling, Taryn, for now.
Can I just say, is this judge basically doing a suicide run? Is he expecting to get disbarred or something? Does he have a cushy job at CNN lined up?
They often do, don't they? It seems to kind of work that way often. It could be. I mean, he would land at CNN or MSNBC as some kind of legal consultant regardless. Look, we've seen a lot of lawfare. This is the order of the day. This is not the sad part about all this, as I said in my Stench from the Bench rant, and that was years ago, is that this is the rule, not the exception. This kind of corruption. I'll never forget, like, let's use a germane but relatively innocuous example. I remember watching footage of a traffic court case. Totally innocuous. And I caught the video on YouTube. Some guy, super libertarian guy, of course, was criticizing it. And he was just showing the video, but he showed it up without his commentary initially. And it's just this guy sitting in traffic court, and he mumbles something, and you can't even hear it. It didn't even pick up on the microphone. And the judge goes, "That's a $50 fine." And he's like, "What? But I didn't. That's $50 more." It's like, what are you doing? And then they start adding prison time. Oh, okay, that's 5 days in prison. Okay, that's 5 more days. You want to go for another month, right? This was just a completely power-mad judge, and the guy hadn't even insulted the judge. He was just, his mumbling was barely picked up on microphone. And at that moment, I was like, dude, we need such serious reform of even the most innocuous levels of our legal system. It is so broken beyond belief, it's almost irreparable at this point. We need a complete teardown of this justice system, and it needs to be rebuilt, because it's been so rigged and politicized, even on a local level, it's not even funny. So yeah, anyway, keep going, Taryn.
Lazarus Rex, thank you for the 20. Did you see any road to a world where corrupt judges and prosecutors like Merchant and Bragg Willis will ever suffer meaningful consequences for this blatant disregard for the law? Do you think they will try to Epstein him?
That is what I worry about. I don't know. Hobo and I have talked about this a little bit. You have never been completely sold on the idea that they're gonna unalive him, Hobo. I don't know. Does this verdict change your mind at all? Hobo? No, I unmuted. Oh, sorry. I thought I unmuted him, but I actually muted him. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't put it past him, dude, because, like, they just keep escalating, right? So, I mean, they tried impeaching him. They tried throwing all this stupid crap at the wall here, right? Just anything they can try and do. So, but that would make him the biggest martyr ever, and that would permanently destroy this country, which they might have already done anyway. But, their derangement is so intense that I think they might be willing to sink the entire ship because they can't help themselves. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I think Trump has taken an existential view. He's like, hey, look, I had a good run. I was the most famous person in the world for how many years? I honestly think he's in full fuck it mode. I don't think he really cares. This is a matter of principle. He's not, generally speaking, in terms of politics, I wouldn't call him a leaning tower of principle. But he now has a principle. Mainly because he has an enemy. That's really what it is. The principle now is vanquishing his enemies. And nobody does vengeance, whether political or personal, quite like Donald Trump. If you don't realize that, you need to go back through his personal history and look at because this is a guy who went through multiple bankruptcies. People stabbed him in the back at crucial moments. This is long before he was a politician. He is definitely a believer in revenge being a dish best served cold. He's definitely one of those people. So anyway, Taryn, keep going. There's so many. My God, RazörForce. Thank you for joining us.
Flint Iron Stack. Thank you for the 20. Trump. I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me. I can't do a Trump.
I'm not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me, frankly. All right, anyway.
Sorry, folks. I'm trying to adjust this shit here. Adrian. Breaking. Tim Pool in Coom Watch? What?
What?
Paul. Razor. Let me get that adjutant at general appointment when you're governor. Have Big Iron. We'll travel.
Big Iron. Big Iron. That, just thinking of that gives me a big iron.
Censor Duck. Razor Fist. The cutest e-girl.
Well, I do what I can. I mean, you know, I wring out the eyelashes. You know, I curl the hair. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't actually curl the hair. I'm one of those people where if there's like 0.2% humidity in the air, I look like Michelle Obama.
So what, you got a huge bulge?
Yes. And yes.
Continuing.
I look like a nose tackle for the 49ers, yes.
Let's see. The number one schmuck. What's the over-under on what Trump's boost in the poll numbers will look like after this farce?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if in general polls he dips for like a day. But I don't think that would be permanent. I think it would rebound immediately and shoot to the moon, especially as it becomes, because the people who pulled this off and paid for it aren't going to be able to resist taking a victory lap. And that is going to turn off even more of the middle in this country, which is what Trump has needed. He's never had a problem with his base. His base are way more energized than the left, which is why they scare Biden shitless and the people behind Biden, the people who actually run the country in lieu of Biden, right? So this helps him with the middle, and that helps him nationally, period. States like, Jefferson here just pointed out, Arizona rises, 5, 6, something like that, from 5 to 6. States like Arizona. States that are blue but are a little more competitive than they should be, like New Mexico or something like that, it helps him big time in those kind of places. It might even help him in places like Colorado. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Actually, you know what? Sorry. What do you think, Hobo?
Yeah, overall, I think it's going to go up. People can see this stuff. I mean, we know a lot of people are stupid, right? But even stupid people can see this for what it is. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a genius.
It's too blatant. It's 100% too blatant. You can't not see it. So anyway, Taryn, keep right on going because we got so many to get to.
Hong Nguyen. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yep. Maybe I'm born with it, bitch.
Let's see. Andrew. Trump becoming Napoleon in real time.
He's way too tall for that. Although Napoleon was not actually short by the standards of the day. That was English propaganda.
Fake news.
You are fake news.
Commander Wolf, thank you for the 20. Howdy, RazörForce. Yeah, me and my co-workers in the land of the first dictator are not happy about the verdict. Long live Trump. I second Razor and Terran as members of Trump's cabinet. God effing speed.
Godspeed. I accept my appointment to the Ministry of Rant. Thank you very much.
Red Cedar Sky. Tim Pool. This verdict will lead to civil war. 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 War.
Oh no, Tim McCain.
That pie over there. So I guess no Battle of the Billionaires too.
Oh, that... Well, I mean, Vince McMahon's out of the company now. It's not going to happen. Might happen in a different company. I don't think Vince McMahon is done either, for the record. I think there's a lot of people who think Vince McMahon is done on the... No. Vince McMahon ain't got any quit in him, just like Trump doesn't. They're very, very similar in a lot of ways. Except Trump prefers pee and Vince McMahon prefers poop.
Gail, why not go for jail time?
Why not go for jail? Oh, you need to don't misunderstand me. A large contingent of the left are going for jail time. Totally. And what is this sentence? Like, facing a possible 126 billion years or whatever. It's some ridiculous amount. It's a cartoon, though. It's a cartoon. It's not going to happen. He's going to win on appeal. It's not meant to hold up to anything. It's, like we said earlier.
Scene. No matter what happens next, there is one truth. The next 5 months are going to be very entertaining. Trump 2024.
Extremely, bro. My God. It might actually get me to watch TV again. My God. No, it's not that crazy. Never mind. And no black pills here. Nobody, no feds here, folks. You do not need to resort to violence. I want to make that clear. Styx made this clear. We probably should have earlier on, but yeah, no feds, no black pilling. Actually, if anything, I consider this a bit of a white pill.
Well, this is the biggest white pill. Like you said, a president just got elected in a courtroom. This is amazing. Basically.
And before anybody points it out, no, George W. Bush was not elected in a courtroom. He was elected. And Al Gore's lawyers tried to throw out the votes and steal the election, and the court prevented them from doing so. He actually succeeded in throwing out quite a few overseas military ballots, but still couldn't get over the hump.
Lazarus Rex with the 100. How sad is it that we are at a point where if a candidate were asked why they were running, one of the most solid and admirable responses would be just some guy standing in front of a Capitol Hill pointing and saying, yeah, because fuck them. That's why.
And that message resonates. If you don't understand why Trump's numbers are probably going to go up after this, there's a really, really, really good reason why.
Ravenhouse Mystery. Thank you for the 20. Trump was found guilty of being Donald Trump. Canceled my trip to Manhattan.
Very, very good one.
Brandon Whitley. Well, it looks like they finally got Trump. Yep. Here comes the final blow. Oh my God, it's Gangrel. The floor bursts open.
With the Brood music and the fire. Did you see that, by the way? There's a Brood reunion on AEW.
No, I didn't see that.
Well, there's an Edge and Gangrel reunion. Edge and Gangrel. Gangrel showed up, helped Edge out, I think, something like that. Christian was not involved, but we could probably make that happen. I think he's in AEW.
We should have them all get together. Matt and Jeff Hardy, Edge, Christian, like all of them, and Gangrel.
Right? I'm saying. But Gangrel was zipping around that ring. He still got it.
Super Gaming. Not sure who's worse now, Russia or America.
I'm sure. I won't say, but I'm sure.
David, thank you for the 20. Razor, does the judge sentence Trump to house arrest to keep him off the campaign trail while keeping from releasing the pictures of him in prison stripes behind bars?
He wouldn't be sent to prison before then anyways, right? That wouldn't be how it goes. Although sentencing being 4 days before the Republican convention, you know something retarded is going to happen in that sentencing hearing. You just know it.
Doubt Shadow, Godspeed and Way Sail, Clankers, and RazörForce.
Godspeed and welcome, Clankers, and welcome, RazörForce. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we are talking about it for those coming in late. Donald Trump convicted of being Donald Trump. What does the future hold? We're going to talk about it even more. And exactly how are the Democrats going to react? That's really what I'm most curious about.
Let's see here. Q Brother Soulstar, waiting for Trump's diss track. Shout out Mar-a-Lago record.
And can't be worse than the average SoundCloud rapper. I'm just saying.
Peter, has anyone checked in on Tim Pool? No reason. Adversary, no black pills, no Fed pesting, posting, gents. Be safe.
Godspeed,
And
everyone.
Hey, look, a Fed post. Homeworld. Boogaloo win.
Man, I heard the new Homeworld is kind of woke.
How? How does an RTS go woke? What the fuck?
Right? How? Who knows? Well, how did they make Diablo woke, right? They did.
Samantha, what happens when they say he lost the coming election? Apparently, they can do whatever as it shows. What will need to happen? Your opinion.
What will need to happen in order for what? Sorry, I didn't catch the tail end of that.
What will need to happen? Your opinion. I'm assuming there's no punctuation there.
In response to this? Well, Trump, this is a classic example of a situation where you win by not quitting. And Trump, here's the great white pill. Trump is a military marksman expert in this particular category. He's like a Navy SEAL at just not quitting. Because none of this is all just, this is a fortress constructed of tissue paper. He could knock it over with a feather on a peel. And that's why I'm not blackpilling. That's why a lot of people paying attention to this are not blackpilling, because it's not really cause to blackpill. Do we wish it wouldn't happen? Yeah, but it also can be spun into a positive, right? He can take this slingshot and use the momentum of this massive injustice in order to propel him in the months to come. So that's how I see it. I'm going to go ahead and read this right now, because on the Democratic side, I was curious if they're this desperate outwardly to get Trump. They're telling you how confident they actually are in Biden's chances, right? If they were truly confident that this old man Muppet could pull it out, or even string a coherent sentence together, they wouldn't need to do this. I was cruising online and I found this article in several places, and it was fascinating that not much of anybody was talking about it. This is from the Washington Examiner. It says, former Clinton advisor dismayed at how Biden campaign is freezing out successful Democratic strategists. This is very telling right here. This is either not confident at all in Biden, super confident in the lawfare, or super confident in the fortification apparatus. This is interesting. Top Democratic strategist Doug Schoen is urging the Biden campaign to adjust course, warning that the uniquely tone-deaf, that's a quote, White House's failure to listen to lucrative political insiders could cost Joe Biden the presidency. Quote, The White House is uniquely tone deaf and not listening to not only me, but 2 Democratic insiders who've been in past campaigns, who've been successful with the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, the former Clinton advisor said during a Fox and Friends interview on Wednesday. He added, there's a near total freeze out on outside advice to the detriment of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, unquote. Schoen joins the ranks of other Democratic strategists, including former Obama advisor David Axelrod, who are cautioning, that's a big name in Democratic circles, who are cautioning Democrats to prepare for a Republican victory in November should Biden fail to change his strategy. In early May, Axelrod had strong words for Biden, saying Biden's refusal to acknowledge that voters are viewing the economy through the lens of the cost of living is, quote, a terrible mistake. I think we could all pretty much say that. His desire to claim credit for the economy is a huge obstacle to connecting with voters on this issue, Axelrod said on May 8th, referencing Biden's efforts to cite positive economic trends as a win for the country. We learned this in 2011 and 2012. You can cite data until the cows come home, but what counts is how people are perceiving the economy. What did I just say? The strongest rebuttal to Biden's economic narrative is your grocery bill. Because what happens is, if you're Biden and you're consistently claiming credit for the economy, what you're really doing is accepting blame for it without realizing. That's what's happening here. He's right. He's completely tone deaf. Schoen had a similar viewpoint on the topic. Quote, they have no message on inflation. They have no message on the southern border. All that they appear to do is demonize Donald Trump and talk about their statistical record of accomplishment, he warned. And everything I see in my polls and every other poll says it just isn't working. The Democratic strategist pointed to the cost of living as the top issue in the 2024 election, saying, quote, in an election where inflation is as high as it is and people have trouble at the pump and in the groceries paying their bills, I think this, unlike prior elections, is going to be uniquely impacted and ultimately decided by the economy. Schoen says Biden could still win the election on one condition. This will be interesting. Quote, he needs to show more empathy on the economy, on inflation. He needs to do something about the southern border, and he needs to have an agenda going forward that is sensitive to people's needs and interests and concerns, not the current message, he concluded. Hobo, how do you read that one? Because this seems like in previous Democratic campaigns, when far left candidates like Obama, like he personally was far left, but the campaigns he ran weren't that far left. When they were able to kind of move to the middle a little bit, they became a lot more successful. And it was probably because they listened to people like this. How do you read this? To me, he's bang on with the thing about, basically accepting blame instead of credit for the economy.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Biden's capable of doing that, though. And you notice he says that Biden could win on one condition. He needs to show more empathy on the economy, on inflation, it says. It's too late, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're 6 months out. It's too late to turn this thing around. The economy has sucked for 4 years. Yeah. You're not going to change it at the last minute.
Yeah. We played a clip, was it last week or the week before, of that CNN interview with Biden, where a CNN reporter confronted him about the economic data and was like, you keep saying the economy is rip-roaring, but X, Y, Z, look at the inflation of grocery bills, look at this, look at the cost of this and that, look at the cost of rent, look at the skyrocketing taxes. A CNN reporter couldn't stomach the BS. And Biden's response was, well, that's not what the polls say. That's not the media's judgment, I think was his exact quote. Just what? How is that your response? He has learned absolutely nothing. And once you hear this out of Biden's mouth, you realize exactly why the desperation of this lawfare had to happen going forward. I actually want to show you guys something because I think maybe this is, we played a clip last week of, James Carville. So maybe this explains why James Carville, who kind of is in this old Democratic strategist club, this kind of explains why James Carville is having nightly Chernobyl meltdowns on his YouTube channel, don't it? I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. This is amazing. This is a legendary meltdown even for someone like James Carville, who has built a career on having meltdowns on live television.
If they get a hold, there will be no government left. There will be no rights left. You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up with Christian nationalism. But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues that I care about. If they get
Well, if that doesn't reach voters, I don't know what will. You little oh, here we go. I'm gonna read this out loud in case you guys couldn't hear it, and in case Hobo wants to know the remarks. He says, quote, there will be no government left if Trump wins. There will be no rights left. You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up with Christian nationalism. You promise, asshole? But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important. Dude, I follow James Carville unironically now because his meltdowns are just glorious. If you haven't started, Hobo, you need to start.
You follow him on X or
X, YouTube, follow him wherever you can, because it's like an inside track into what is actually happening behind closed doors of the Biden campaign. Like what people are saying when Biden's not around or not shitting his pants or whatever.
All right, I'm gonna have to do it.
I'm saying, bro. All right. Taryn, hit us with some more of these super chats for crying in the rain.
Day is pigeon. The verdict's going to give Dems more plausible deniability to election fraud.
There's an aspect of that. I don't think that's an inaccurate read. But boy, you have a big enough landslide and it won't matter. You know, look, I've pointed this out before. There's people who mock the idea of, oh, you're going to vote your way out of it. It's like, you realize you can, right? Like you realize that if the margin is high enough, you absolutely can. And you have. History bears this out, even in fraudulent elections. How do we know? Because Donald Trump was defrauded in 2016 and still won. Does anybody not realize that? Did you guys not hear about Jill Stein's audit in 2016 that found like 50,000 votes in one Michigan county that had no corresponding physical ballot? And then Hillary Clinton's lawyers jumped on Jill Stein, got the entire audit shut down after 2016. Trump started out opposing that audit and wound up supporting it. Did you guys hear about that? It's absolutely possible. It's completely possible, and it may be necessary right now. Anyway, keep going.
Eddie Ramirez, thank you for the 2. Austin Harn. Okay, Razor. Since political prosecution is exactly the reality of today, who should Republicans prosecute first? Hillary or Hunter?
Hunter's already going through his court case. What they should do is try him on substantive charges. He's not facing charges for selling the Louisiana energy grid out to communist China, nor is Jim Biden. They both should. And probably Joe Biden needs to be included in that because, of course, we have the text messages saying they're going to kick back 10% for the big guy. That was what that all dealt with. So, and I did a whole video about all of that. I actually put a flowchart on screen that I made showing where all of the money went and exactly who got paid by who in order to sell Louisiana's energy grid to communist China. That, by the way, was why Trump, in his first week in office, signed an executive order banning the sale of American utility companies to foreign entities. And Biden, in his first day in office, rolled that back. Very, very telling.
Experimental channel. Hey, did you see that France is putting boots on the ground with Ukraine? I'm super worried about the blowback. Politics exactly today sucks.
And they're training the Ukraine troops, which, I don't know, I guess maybe there'll be a surrender in the offing pretty soon here. I don't know. Lots of cardio involved in that training.
Master Quack. Even though Trump is a felon now, he can appeal. But it only seems fair they will seize his firearms first and give him due process later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think Trump hit the nail on the head, as usual. He's really, really good at distilling arguments down to their essence, right? When he said the real verdict is going to be November 5th, he just wrapped it all in a nutshell, though. He basically turned himself into a giant sledgehammer that the voters can wield against the system. And that is when Trump is in full effect. That was him in 2016. And that's going to be him in 2024.
Oh, yes, and let's not forget that chat that was mentioning the French training Ukrainian troops. We forgot to add one important thing. Torshi brought it up in the chat. Hon, baguette.
Oh, yeah. All Francais.
Yes. When disaster strikes. If Trump gets sent to prison, at least he can hit the weight. Come November 5th, he'll be more ripped than George Floyd's fake $20.
Can you imagine Trump rolling up to the debate stage just jacked with prison tattoos and a teardrop under one eye? I'm just saying. It's spider webs on each elbow. Let's do it. He'll just walk up to Biden and prison shank him.
Jaden, are you going to be doing a video about Anno Domini?
About the new Black Sabbath box set. I'm getting it tomorrow on my birthday. I'm super, super excited. But yeah, very, very excited. We're going to stream tomorrow, so I'll probably be able to tell you guys how it is if my package has arrived by then.
Not a Russian bot. Trump will now claim to be a female, so they send him to girl jail, and he'll spend the entire time grabbing them by the... You know what?
You know, by the whatever. Blood coming out of her eyes, coming out of her whatever.
Lieutenant Siver, now that the precedent has been set, I look forward to Obama getting prosecuted for extrajudicial killings of Americans.
Indeed. I don't know if it was real, but did you see the Twitter thread? Or is like, Judge Merchant had ruled against him again and again. Finally, Donald Trump lost his temper and said, "What a moron." The judge, flushed with anger, shouted, $1,000 fine. $1,000? Trump said. I said 3 words. Those 3 words were contempt of court, the judge said, and that's $1,000 fine. Mr. Trump got out his wallet and started looking through it. Thinking there'd been a misunderstanding, Judge Merchant calmed down a bit and said, "You don't have to pay now." Mr. Trump said, "No, I'm just checking to see if I have enough cash on me for 2 more words. Just 2 more. God, I hope that's real. God, I hope that's real. Anyway, continue.
Rolf, happy birthday, Razor.
Godspeed, thank you.
Eric Dale. My wife's boyfriend assures me that a conservative DA would never get a conviction on Biden. Yes, I have a National Review subscription.
Really? Do you now? Fantastic. Hashtag never Trump.
Phantom Lord. More in line with the Soviet Union style show trial, minus the show.
I'm going with Cardassian trial because of the predetermined verdict.
Mario. Trump of the woke land. Never change, Razor.
Godspeed, and it is not my birthday today. Tomorrow's my birthday. But thank you all for the pre-birthday wishes.
J-Rock. New York is now New Australia because of the number of kangaroos inhabiting the courtrooms there.
G'day! This is a knife.
Hey, quick question. Can Biden now be convicted, or are there any sort of charges that can be pressed for showering with your 14-year-old daughter?
I don't know, especially when it's written down in a diary and basically admitted. I don't know. We pretty much did away with the statute of limitations when we prosecuted Bill Cosby, so I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Hell, Trump's charges date back to 2007. Apparently, there's just no more statute of limitations anymore. That just doesn't even exist. Have I mentioned we need to completely take a wrecking ball to our legal system and build it back up from the ground up?
Steven, Ghost of the Badlands is actually about Trump?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit.
Holographic taco salad. Godspeed, Razor.
Godspeed, and thank you for joining us. My God, there's a lot of people joining us. We're not done talking about this trial, folks. This is wild for those just joining us. Donald Trump, convicted of terminal Trumpness. Taryn, keep rolling.
David, obstruction or to get the milk toast to crumble and pick a different candidate. What?
Oh, no. I see what he's saying there. So he's arguing that if they give Trump this baggage of having been a, air quotes, convicted felon, kind of irrelevant given that Hunter and Joe are unconvicted felons, then it will make it more appealing if they present an alternate Republican candidate. The counterpoint to this, of course, would be who? Who? DeSantis took a torpedo to his entire career during the primaries, so that's not happening. And he's thrown his support behind Trump. So, what the hell? Nikki Haley? Do I even need to say anything? There's nobody. There's nobody. I don't see that happening. And when the alternative is another term for Biden while the country is going down in flames and he's pouring lighter fuel on it, I don't think that's rational. Not a completely ridiculous proposal, but I don't personally subscribe to it.
Experimental channel. Germany just made pedophilia a misdemeanor. Jesus, Germany, we need to sit down and talk.
Hey, Black & Decker, if you're looking for a new market for all your wood chippers, I'm just saying, big market just opened up.
Thomas Shirley, thank you for the 2. Wee Jock Poopong McPlop. Can you give your best wishes to Ireland? We're fucked. Oh, sorry. We're fecked.
Yeah, we're fecked. I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't know if you've caught the news today. We're not doing much better.
The Comrade Gamers. Hey, Razor, don't forget about the Rumble rants.
The Rumble rants?
Oh, I mean, we did have a few, you know what? Let's read a few of those. Is that what they're called?
We have quite a few people on Rumble, and thank you all for joining us. We are monitoring the chat. We are paying attention to all that stuff, so yeah.
Generalissimo Liberty. Trump Slide 2024.
Godspeed. It's no longer a description of his hairdo.
Like Reagan, 1984. The DNC just lost enough of the urban areas they have rested on for over 30 years. They have no idea what they just did.
And they're doing it to, I mean, they picked a district that really didn't like Trump in New York. But Trump is more competitive than most Republicans in the state of New York for obvious reasons, right? He's been a resident there for years. He's a New York icon. Man, some of these districts don't need much in order to tilt in Trump's direction. It's why Trump has been more competitive in New York over the course of his political career. Playing with matches here, folks.
Dawnbreaker. To the left, Trump is Sauron. Mar-a-Lago is Mordor. And the MAGA hat is the One Ring.
I can't carry you, but I can carry you. Or I can't carry it for you, rather. Sorry. I can't carry the conviction for you. Why didn't they just drop Trump into Mordor? Why didn't the Eagles show up and...
Generalissimo Liberty. They will throw the election for Trump and accuse him of cheating. Rumblemania, thank you for the 10.
Godspeed, thank you.
Altlag, thank you for the 20. Saddle up on, partners.
Mount up, RazörForce.
From here on out, we ride with the outlaw, and hell's coming with us. Wait, Why the hell do I feel so much cooler supporting Trump now?
Isn't it wild? The outlaw Donald Trump.
The Comrade Gamers, thank you for the 20. I'm expecting to see the Uniparty in D.C. to try and pass a bill that will take Trump off the ballot because of the verdict. I wouldn't put it past them because they're desperate.
Yeah. I think everything's on the table at this point.
Random nobody. Glenn Jacobs for vice president.
Indeed, dude. I loved. Go check out, if you haven't been checking out Glenn Jacobs' Twitter feed today. I mean, this is a libertarian turned Republican, so this is a genuine small government Republican in the vein of like a Rand Paul. His takes on all of this are just solid gold. Go check him out. He's Kane, by the way, in WWE.
And he was never a dentist, and never talk about it.
We will never speak of it again. He was never fake Diesel.
Zocom7, thank you for that 100 on Rumble. Never bet against the razor. The first to call Trump the outlaw president.
Indeed. I also was one of the first people to predict he would be elected in 2016. One of the very, very first.
Piero, beware of false flags and glow posters in the next 72 hours. Stay well, everyone. It's not over till it's over. Godspeed.
Godspeed. Thank you all.
The Great Gerbil? What if Biden pardons him?
That would be wild. It's never going to happen, though. I mean, he would get to appear magnanimous, but that's not going to happen. I mean, just 24 hours ago, he was doing a press conference and saying Donald Trump's going to be convicted and he deserves it. He's not. No. He's going to steer into the he's a recently convicted felon narrative. That's totally the play from Joe Biden's perspective. And having his head jammed that far up his duodenum, he strongly suspects that that's going to usher him to victory. When in actuality, it's just making him appear to be all the things that Donald Trump and his supporters have been saying he is.
It just blows my mind that they see this as a victory. How are they this blind?
Too many of them just want blood. A lot of this is vengeance. But again, what did I say earlier? Nobody does vengeance like Donald Trump. Nobody. Look into his past.
Media hits. Razor B-Day. Edwin Edwards went to prison and beat David Duke for governor.
It happens.
David, we need do-rag Trump at the debates.
Yes!
He needs to have the tear tattoo.
Needs the FUBU shirt. The whole 9 yards. No. Put him in prison orange. The whole thing. Hairnet. Get the prison tattoos going.
Petoskey Stone and the Uper lights. Okay. Does this mean Trump can unironically wear a 1% patch on his vest now?
Hey! Let's do it. Let's see it. And we thought Bill Clinton was the first black president. Come on. Trump right now is more black than Obama. Come on.
Matt G. Hammond. Have Democrats permanently destroyed their advantages with black Americans and Hispanics?
No, but I think look, I have pointed this out in the last several election cycles. You'd be surprised how little of the black vote the Democrats have to lose in order to not just lose an election, but have a serious chance of not winning an election for several more cycles. Democrats are playing with fire in a lot of different ways because Donald Trump can benefit however little bit of the black vote he's able to siphon away. Now, I've said in the past, I don't think he should focus too much on it because I think he just has a general appeal that's going to naturally get some of those people to jump over to his side, and you've seen that borne out. But Democrats need that 90% support from blacks. If it dips into the 80s, they're genuinely hurting. And if it dips any lower than that, they have problems for generations to come ever holding any elected office on a national level. So it's a smarter strategy than you think. It's a weird sort of catch-22. You don't want Trump to concentrate too much on wooing the black vote, but if he chips away even a few percentage points of it, Democrats are not just hurting in this election, but for like the next 5 elections.
Chaos Lear Len. Speaking of X and do-rag Trump, read out Andrew Tate's response. Oh my God, what did he say?
I don't follow him, so I don't know. Did he say something retarded? What am I saying?
We jock poopong McPlop. Honestly, do you think this sways the normies?
Some of them, absolutely. Because it plays into the narrative that Biden is weaponizing institutions against Trump and his supporters. It's what he's been saying all over the campaign trail, and it's not just him anymore. Now that there's other people out there who actually have a voice, thanks to platforms like X being, cleansed a bit of the leftist ideologues. I won't say 100% purged, but they're at least not just a mouthpiece, a censorious mouthpiece of the ideological left. Now there's actual voices like Tucker Carlson that are actually out there, and people can hear that. So it plays into that narrative.
Matt F., thank you for the 5. Media hits. Orange is the new black Trump.
Godspeed. Orange is the new black vote. What?
Matt F. again. These Capellans just ruin everything.
Don't they, though? They started the Clanners. Jesus.
Super Buff Shaft. Thank you for the 20. Case was rigged like the election. Many still have not seen the biggest audit in U.S. history.
Indeed.
Hello, Cicero.
Cicero had to chime in. We're now a 4-man panel.
Matt G. Hammond. Are the Democrats regretting not allowing Trump to win in 2020 so they could blame him for everything and crashing the economy and housing market?
Nope. Because there were... Look at what Trump has done behind closed doors. Look at it. Just came out a couple of weeks ago. Somebody finally tallied up how many judicial appointments Joe Biden has made. That was a big part of getting Joe Biden in there. That was important for them. So, no, I think this absolutely went according to plan, more or less. But be careful what you wish for. Because politics is a rubber band, and boy, when it snaps in the other direction, does it ever smart.
Lord Impaler, thank you for the 20. Can Trump be jailed while awaiting appeals? What leave of court would we have to get? What leave of court would we have to get to for the proper appeal?
Yeah, I think you mean level of court, but only if there's no bail. I believe he would have to be in prison, but that's not going to happen. So he's out. He can campaign or whatever. This is totally just to drain his time and energy so that he can't be out there on the campaign trail looking like the vastly preferable alternative to Biden that he is. That's the entire point. I actually want to go through at some point here and read a proper article about everything that he was convicted of wrongfully here. At some point, but keep going. We'll try and get through, 5 more of these super chats. And then I really want to go through and really go categorically down everything.
Generalissimo Liberty. MAGA must go independent if they lose a primary and not fear a Democratic win. Rhinos use that too much, and I would rather have a Democrat over a rhino. Enough is enough. We must go scorched earth.
Yeah, that we're in an interesting period of history in that actually this is germane to a question that we were asked on X. Every single week when we're about to do the RazörForce Offensive, I put up a Twitter thread where I solicit your questions. So anyone who follows me over there, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody asked a really, really interesting question, and that was, which of the two parties is more likely to go away? Honestly, we could do a whole podcast just about this question at some point, as I'm sure my boy Tactical Hobo here will confirm, because you and I have talked about this before, right, Hobo?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting question on a lot of levels. I think it depends on a lot of factors, right? Which of the two parties is more likely to die? My opening answer would be Democrats, because at least Republicans right now have an opportunity to be saved from themselves. What you're witnessing right now is MAGA, which is really the ghost of the Tea Party, which is the ghost of, just paleoconservative populism, whatever you want to call it, is it's attempting a takeover of the party, because the party no longer speaks to its voters and isn't even pretending to speak to its voters. So they have a chance to redress their problems. Democrats have been kicking that can down the road for the last 3-4 election cycles. They are committed to not learning their lesson. And that's why I would put it down as the Democrats being in more danger. Because look at what they did to Bernie Sanders. That was their version of MAGA, right? Bernie Sanders coming along, getting all that support in 2016. That was the reform their party was going to have. Some starchy socialist coming along. Because there's a bunch of shrieking socialists on the left in this country. And they were attempting a party takeover. The Democratic Party, of course, we watched those primaries. They rigged that entire primary against Bernie Sanders. And then in 2020, because Bernie got up on that stage and threw, just fountains of flop sweat, openly cucked to Hillary Clinton on stage in 2016, everyone remembers that photo, he didn't have quite the same support in the 2020 primaries. But they kicked that can down the road. Gang, there's more to that whole movement than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was just the latest expression of it. Bernie Sanders was the latest incarnation of what happened in 2004 with Howard Dean, right? They used the media to take down Howard Dean in 2004. That whole thing, right? That was a hit job. They were getting rid of Howard Dean because the party didn't want him in there. So they rigged their primaries against him. They got rid of him with that little clip. And then they did the same thing to Bernie Sanders in 2016. And they did the same thing to him in 2020. The Democrats are not learning their lesson. And gang, what did I say about the rubber band? This works on a partisan level too. There's a left and a right wing within the left and right wing. There's a left and a right wing to the Democrats. There's a left and a right wing to the Republicans. And if they keep putting off this populist revolt on the Democrats' side, they will cease to exist as a party. When that blows up, gang, the thing about kicking that can down the road is there's a live hand grenade in that can. And the longer you kick it, eventually you're going to move to kick it. It's going to take off both your legs. You're going to be done. Republicans have a chance to salvage that if they stop fighting Trump. When this guy says, they should go third party, that's kind of a last resort. MAGA's strong right now. It's strong on the Republican side. They've successfully fumigated a lot of rhinos from the party. Jeff Flake went away, right? How many people went away? Paul Ryan went away. Now, they're still kind of pulling strings behind the scenes. Mitt Romney, though, dropped out. This is evidence that there's a slow takeover of the party. Democrats don't have the benefit of that. I don't know. What do you think about that, Hobo? Does that kind of jive with what you've seen?
Yeah, somewhat. But, I don't really see either of the big parties going away because it's really difficult to get one. We're in a two-party system. It's really difficult for either one to go away. But I think that what could happen is, since Republicans have basically been taken over by the MAGA, what you're going to have is you might have some of the old school rhino types actually leave the Republican Party and form like a third party, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
You could have something like that because, MAGA is solidly Republican now, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And they've actually attained several of the key positions within the party. And that's absolutely been like key to that. So again, the question is not who's gonna go away. The question is who's more likely to go away. And to me, Democrats are way more likely because they're not only not learning their lessons, they're going out of their way not to. They're actually kicking the can down the road. They are rigging primary elections in order to avoid learning those. We saw what happened in 2020, right? Biden was at 1%. And then everybody in the field gets bribed all at once to drop out for no reason. Pete Buttigieg was how many points ahead of Joe Biden? And they bribe him to drop out of the race, and suddenly Biden's the only one left. It's like, gosh, I wonder what happened there. You know what I mean? It's obvious what's going on in that party. They're not learning their lessons. So, Taryn, keep going.
Donut Guard. I saw the verdict work. I think he meant at work. It was like watching 9/11 all over again. Vivek for press secretary. One clown emoji for every trumped up charge. God fucking speed.
Godspeed.
Intimidator. Thank you for the 20. Hey, Razor, loving the stream, laughing my ass off at some of your comments. By the way, if a baseball player accidentally hits a bird with a ball, kills it outside of the third or first baselines, does that make him guilty of foul play?
I see what you did. I don't like it, but I see what you did.
Mercenary act. They will try help Trump Minecraft himself. Trump wanted this outcome. He is exposing everything. He has special forces backing him. Be ready for the cold dish, Razor.
He has an underrated Alice Cooper album backing him? Excellent.
You can't convince me he isn't in control. He is protecting us.
Godspeed.
We jock Poopong McPlop. Why are Brits so much better at metal than Yanks?
I don't know. Manowar's not a British band. How do you explain that?
Explain that.
Heck, we even do British metal better than British people. Liege Lord. Come on. They're basically better Judas Priest, but they're American.
The Southern Gentleman. So, secession when?
Secession's always on the table if you give little enough fucks. I mean, really, let's be real.
Have you seen the whole Greater Idaho thing?
Yes, that's a great meme.
Like in every other version I see of it, like it just gets bigger and bigger.
It's eventually just gonna be the whole country. Totally. But hey, they included Phoenix in the last one. I was like, yeah, give it to me.
Heart Pounder. I'd rather get sucked into Jumanji for 30 damn years than live through another Biden presidency.
Hey, at least Robin Williams is over there. Fuck. Hate to leave him hanging. Keep going.
John Fisher. All I know is beans belong in chili. Clank, clank.
Yes! Yes, they do. Actually, I don't mind beans or no beans. I just like chili. Jesus. Am I the only one who doesn't take a firm stand on this issue? I love both.
Reformed Sauron. F the system. Trump 2024.
Godspeed. We should play that.
Jegs Dino God. Gee, the left are going after Trump so hard. You think he did something like make a video on how Batman's no-kill rule was insanely dumb and outdated?
I know, right? It's ridiculous.
Samantha Flynn.
Hashtag not sorry.
Razor, I'm moving to Phoenix. Let's go see Wasp.
Right on. Are they coming to Phoenix on the next tour? I know they announced a bunch of dates. I don't know. It's possible.
Steven. Trump will have 5 living former presidents. Carter, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Biden. How many accidental classified documents fire will occur after Trump wins in November? Oh yeah, they're gonna shred everything.
That's another reason I think 2020 was so important to fortify, because you get You get to a point where you're looking into too much stuff, that becomes a problem.
King Tesseract, thank you for the 20. Unfortunately, you guys haven't figured out the most likely course of events. They're gonna steal 2024. They'll make it sloppy and obvious. Intentionally. They will let the chaos build until January 6th or January 20th. Sure, buddy. Dave, how will a rigged election like 2020 be prevented this time? We actually, I mean, over the course of the past 4 years, we put a lot of shit in place, didn't we?
Not enough. Not enough. Not in the key states where it needed to happen. There was a victory the AZ GOP just got, which was pretty good for the future election. It was something like, it had something to do with chain of custody on ballots. They couldn't go, because one of the big problems with the 2020 election and the 2022 election was, while they were counting, all the ballots were sent off to this weird third-party location where there were no observers. No one knows what happened at that third-party location. And then they were all shipped back. And it was like, okay, what happened there? And Carrie Lake pointed that out in her lawsuit, and the judge, for what it's worth, agreed with her. I mean, that was a real miscarriage, that election lawsuit, because I don't know how many people paid close attention to it. We weren't doing the offensive at the time, which is a shame. At some point, I do have Carrie Lake's cell phone number. Maybe we'll do an interview at some point and really talk about this, because the judge did admit that she was correct, that basically the election result was not legitimate. He straight up admitted that. That was part of the judgment. But she had to prove that it was intentional. And how do you prove that? How do you prove? It could just be like 9 coincidences piled on top of each other. So if there was even the remotest reasonable doubt, then her case had to be overturned. And that's exactly what happened. The judge straight up admitted she should be the governor of Arizona. But she couldn't prove that Katie Hobbs had done it on purpose. So there you go.
Commander Wolf, thank you for the 20. So, Razor, with the word of Blake revealing itself, I mean, what are your thoughts on Sins of the Solar Empire 2? So far, it's looking like a really good game. Possible Razor arcade stream?
Maybe. I've never played Sins of a Solar Empire, so might be worth it.
Phantom Lord, never doubt the GOP's ability to grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
Indeed. But these are the rhinos you're rooting out. Unfortunately, we could name several prominent rhinos who have already been driven out. That's one of the great side effects of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump didn't do a thing he promised, his presence driving the monoparty pissants out would be worth voting for him.
Mark, DeSantis put through the strongest election reform, and Florida went from purple to ruby red. Imagine if Florida had standards when Imagine if Florida standards went national.
I agree. And the same thing is true of Ohio. It is not a coincidence that the two quote-unquote swing state bellwethers were both states that were contested in previous elections. Because what happened after the 2000 election with Al Gore and Bush, and what happened after the 2004 election, people forget John Kerry was about to challenge the election in 2004 because of what happened in Ohio. Both of those states passed really, really stringent election restrictions as far as ballots and showing ID and chain of custody and all that. And then what's happened is in recent years, they've actually added a few more provisions and whatever, but it's not a coincidence that both those states that had to address election security because of those are both now solidly red. They're not even swing states anymore. They're, they should be bellwethers. They are bellwethers, let's be real. If the elections in the other states were legit, they absolutely would be. But anyways, continue!
Patriotic Cat. Saw you put that high top in your Batman video. Have you seen his Wonder Woman 84 video? And what he says about Wonder Woman having sex using someone else's body?
No, I don't voluntarily watch his videos. I forget what happened. I think I was watching another video and then his Batman does not kill video autoplayed or something after it, I think is what happened. I was stupid and I left autoplay on. And my jaw hit the floor at how retarded his argument was. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are not as retarded as he is who make the same retarded arguments. Have I said the word retarded enough? But I stand by my video, and I'll debate any retard on it. Retard.
James, remember, kiddies, stealing elections has consequences. Generalissimo Liberty. Democrats never complain that an area is too red. Aaron, I heard Brandon H's, I think he means
Brandon Herrera.
Herrera, yeah. District was an open primary, so that might explain it.
Yeah, that would explain it. People were trying to make it about that Republican pro-Israel group, and I'm sure that was a part of it, but honestly, it was just mainstream GOP money in general. And they tried to cast him as anti-Israel, which I've never really gotten from him. I don't think he even really cares. He's like most Republican voters. He just doesn't give a shit and wishes Israel would deal with their own shit, and we dealt with our own.
Gunther Herman, thank you for the 20. Show me the orange man, and I'll show you the crime.
Indeed. Orange is the new black.
Chaos Spartan. Don't trust Doug Burgum for VP. He took Bill Gates' money a while back when that creepy bastard bought a couple of farms in northeast North Dakota. What is up with him buying so much farmland? Did you hear that?
Who?
Bill Gates.
Oh, yeah, because yes, it's highly nefarious. We can't even really get into it here because it's a deep, deep rabbit hole. But yes, I'm very aware of it, and I'm very aware of why.
Kiryu Kazuma. As a fellow metalhead, what are your thoughts on bands like Death?
Death! You know what? I'm not as much a Death fan. What about you, Tactical Hobo? This is for you, because you actually do listen to a little bit of Death.
Yeah, I like some death metal. I don't listen to all of it because some of it does sound very repetitive. But Death is definitely one of the best.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they lose me when it sounds like a stopped-up toilet.
Okay. The second one was Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse for me is a no. What about you, Hobo?
I mean, they're okay. Like, I find that some of the extreme death metal actually does have a place, but it's not something I listen to all the time. I do find it actually really good for working out, though.
Obituary.
I like Obituary. I actually do like Obituary. That's one of the few death metal bands that I dig. What about you, Hobo?
Yeah, I like them.
And Morbid Angel.
And they are another one that I actually really, really like. I've always liked Morbid Angel. What about you, Hobo?
Yeah, Morbid Angel's good, too. They have a very unique sound, I think, for death metal. Like, a lot of it, like I was saying, sounds the same, but you can really pick out a Morbid Angel riff pretty easily.
Absolutely. They have a really interesting guitar style. Even though they've got those death metal vocals, it's not like stopped up toilet sounding or pure Cookie Monster sounding. It's good. They're very, very good.
Damon Blackfire. Man, this trial brought back so many memories of Argentina to the point where I thought I was back in Buenos Aires for a second. Do you think Trump could get a near Nixon 72 or a Reagan 84 level win?
Not in the popular vote, but electorally, yeah, that's in the cards. Totally. You know who's been doing good regular election map updates? I name-dropped him earlier. I'll name-drop him again for the clankers, is Styx, Hex, and Hammer. He regularly does election map predictions. He follows the polls and all of that stuff. Richard Barris is another really good one to follow for that.
Rave Master J. all government agencies. It is a matter of policy that we do not give information concerning national security to felons. No vote needed. Trump becomes a lame duck immediately. Still voting Trump.
Still, don't care, still voting Trump. That really is just the watchword of the day. Don't give a shit.
Walking corpse. How many high-profile cases with obviously innocent people being convicted have happened in the last decade? I've honestly lost track.
I know. Even celebrities and what, boy, and there have even been some cases where you've had people who were convicted in the court of public opinion. And then they wound up either being acquitted or they got convicted and wound up being released, or what had happened with Cosby. Boy, ahead of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, the media just about had Johnny Depp convicted, right? Like, all this stuff was just, we've seen this again and again and again. And what did I say when I did my Michael Jackson video? This is about more than Michael Jackson. Because Michael Jackson's just sort of emblematic of all the problems in our system. They set up a trial that Michael Jackson had no business winning. They tried him in an area that politically didn't jive with Michael Jackson. They tried him in an area where demographically, like, most people would not be listeners of Michael Jackson. And they managed to bring in evidence that shouldn't have even been admissible at trial. You know, evidence of prior bad acts that weren't even taken to court, all that. They basically tried 3 cases at once. They rigged that case so hard, and he walked out of there a free man, acquitted on 14 counts. And not only did he do it, he did it 2 months early. The trial was scheduled for 2 months longer than it wound up being. That's how innocent he was. But this is what happens, unfortunately. This is our legal system. It's in dire need of reform.
Hong Nguyen. Morbid Angel had peak 90s MTV videos.
They did. They have pretty good music videos. I think I agree with that.
Sweaty Zeus Gaming. This cements Trump. Has to go after them now. Rubicon crossed. It's a zero-sum game now.
Yeah, you might not be wrong.
Hold on one second, this updated.
What did?
The list.
Oh, the list updating. Folks, it's crazy. You guys are freaking chat and everything is rolling along like the Roadrunner from the Wile E. Coyote cartoons. Can't thank you guys enough. We are talking here about Trump being convicted of being orange and angry. Actually, we should go over the charges, exactly what the charges are, because...
Yeah, you want to do that real quick?
It's even weaker when you read it out. Yes, let me find a good encapsulatory article real quick. Here we go. From WorldNet Daily. Here we go. Guilty on 34 counts. There we go. A jury of New Yorkers, where a massive majority of the population dislikes President Donald Trump, on Thursday said he was guilty of the 34 counts of business reporting violations claimed by DA Alvin Bragg. Now, this was ironic because Michael Cohen basically admitted that he had committed the crime without Trump even being informed. So this was wild. It's the first time a former president has been convicted of a felony crime. Bragg, a Democrat who revived dead misdemeanors to orchestrate the lawfare against Trump, claimed Trump called his legal expenses, quote, legal expenses, and that was an offense. He charged Trump with 34 counts of falsifying business records. Yes, you did hear that sentence right, by the way. He was convicted of calling his legal expenses legal expenses. He took misdemeanor violations that had been passed over by a multitude of other prosecutors, claimed they were in furtherance of another unspecified crime, and that made them felonies. The case being run by Juan Merchant, a local New York judge. I've never seen anyone named Juan, by the way, look whiter. Has been plagued with one scandal after another. Merchant first issued multiple gag orders against Trump, but refused to provide Trump with the same protection from wild statements made by others in the case. Merchant also has repeatedly... Merchant refused to recuse, even though his daughter is a Democrat activist who has fundraised millions off of the decisions her father is making in the case. Hobo, where have we heard this before? Where have we heard this before in Arizona? A judge in a prominent politically charged case refusing to recuse himself. Do you know what I'm talking about here, Hobo?
Not offhand.
Joe Arpaio.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? They investigate Joe Arpaio for almost a decade after Obama takes office. The DOJ turn over every stone, and ultimately they wind up convicting him of misdemeanor contempt of court. And this is after Judge G. Murray Snow had refused to recuse himself after it was discovered that his wife was a political activist and had made numerous anti-Joe Arpaio statements on social media. I've told you guys this lawfare, the dress rehearsal for it was Joe Arpaio. And go watch my rant, Arpaio and the Pardon. I pointed out that this was an important case to study because it was going to be the dress rehearsal for all the lawfare going forward. I hate to say I was right, but I was right. You remember when all that went down, Hobo?
I do, yeah. Man, they really hated Arpaio, that's for damn sure.
They sure did. They basically, the moment Obama took office, they began investigating him. And why? Because he was conducting immigration sweeps. He was one of the strongest bulwarks against the unchecked illegal immigration that we're witnessing along the southwestern border right now. I mean, a lot of this comes back to the cartel money, the pipeline to fentanyl, the pipeline to cheap labor for Republican corpos, the pipeline to human trafficking, all this stuff. And we don't even just have Mexican nationals pouring through the border anymore, as you and I have covered many, many times on this show. There's Chinese nationals showing up, Saudis, right? Like, Sudanese? What is going on at the border? Have you been keeping up with that too?
Yeah, dude, it's like everything, man. I mean, everyone's coming in. And actually, I live in southern Arizona now.
Yeah, he's very, very, very close to the border. How far are you again?
A few miles.
Yeah,
let's say
he's
close
enough to be able to go to the border anytime he wants. Let's put it that way. And firsthand, give us kind of your read.
Well, I went down actually not too long ago, and so they actually are starting to rebuild the wall in certain areas because, of course, Biden wants to look like he's doing something, right?
Right.
But there's a section where you got like the wall, and actually Obama built part of this wall, so everyone wants to blame it on Trump, but that part of the wall was started under Obama.
It's more of a fence, really, right?
Yeah, it's not a real wall. They call it a wall, but it's like a kind of like a deluxe fence, right? In a way,
right?
But you go about like a mile down the road from there, and it turns into like just a Normandy-style D-Day vehicle barrier with some really shitty barbed wire that has obviously been trampled on a bunch, right? And that goes on as far as the eye can see for like 50 miles or something.
Bro, we need to do like a live RazörForce offensive from the border or something.
Dude, come down anytime, man.
How amazing would that be? RazörForce, would you like the live RazörForce offensive border spectacular? Because we're close to narco country. We are close to the borderland. I think that would be worth doing. Anyways, ladies and gents, we probably should continue with this. Hold on a moment. Well, actually, how about you get through a few more super chats? We'll read some more of these charges after that.
Very well. Dawnbreaker. Did you see what dropped about X? If you want to continue to make money on X, users have to give their IDs and biometrics to an Israeli intelligence company?
Interesting. Of course, joke's on you. I've never made a dime off X. I don't even have a... What do you have? You have to have like a premium account or monetization in it. I don't even know how that works. Plus, you get like a pittance. I saw somebody's payout the other day. They posted it was like $112. It's like, what? That won't even get you like half a bag of groceries anymore.
Hooray, now you can eat out at Five Guys at Friday.
Hey, there you go. You can almost afford a full combo at Whataburger.
That's a trip to Red Robin?
Ah, yum.
Slain Hope. You thought the law had no respect? Hold on to your butts.
Yes.
Six Blades Kojiro. I've been reading The Road, prepping for the future.
I don't know what you mean. I've been reading the BD series Jeremiah. No reason.
DRT is king. The thing about the VP should be considered. Trump lives in Florida. If his VP was a Floridian, Trump would have to shift his address. Would have to be out of Florida, so any Floridian is not a real choice. I'm not sure where you were going with that.
There must be a prominent candidate. I mean, I don't think he's considering DeSantis, so I don't think it's about that. But yeah, you wouldn't trust that, Judas. I think he's happy that he came back into the fold, but I don't think Trump trusts DeSantis in the slightest anymore, nor should he.
Gail, Baron for VP.
Indeed. I'm still waiting for his Paul Atreides arc. Anyone else?
It is 2024. I'm going to make this call now.
What's that?
I don't know if he'll win or not, but one day, maybe 15 years from now, that kid's going to run for president.
Bro, you know, it's totally possible. Shoot, I think Don Jr. and Eric probably have political aspirations, to be honest. So yeah, it's totally not outside the realm of possibility, not to me.
Mac, thank you for the 20. Unconstitutional republic. Justice system is a farce. We do not live under a representative government. And F just learning about the AK. Jesus lost.
It is repugnant. It's nauseating. Like, when I heard it, it was weird. It's like, when I heard this verdict, we probably should go around the horn and talk about this a little bit. When I heard the verdict, I was surprised at how little I cared. Because it was kind of like, I expected it a little bit, and I knew that it would more or less work in Trump's favor, so I wasn't particularly worried. When I heard those jury instructions, I told you guys earlier, I was pretty sure, like, it was blatantly rigged against him at that point. When you can have 3 separate groups of jurors all agree that he committed a different crime, but not the others, and it still be taken falsely and illegally as a unanimous verdict, I mean, what do you do at that point? He could have been convicted of stubbing his toe. Hobo, what do you think?
Wasn't surprised, to be honest. We've already seen recently other miscarriages of justice where the whole thing is just a farce. I mean, look at the Alex Jones verdict, for example. Oh,
Jesus. Right? $1 billion judgment. Jesus Christ.
They're letting us know that the justice system is a total joke, and they're letting us know that they can come after any one of us for any reason, and you're not going to get a fair trial.
Well, yeah, and the parents, some of whom, you know, they've never really verified all of their stories and stuff. They're now like political activists for the left. They're like kind of sketchy. They're not just talking about their dead children anymore. They're like stumping for far left political causes and stuff. You know, that definitely muddies the waters of a verdict like that. It definitely makes it feel less legit, but you can just feel how weaponized the legal system. Again, guys, consult my stench from the bench rant. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of how well it's aged personally. But yeah, generally speaking, you just weren't surprised because of how weaponized the legal system is, Hobo?
Yeah, of course. And just they've been going after Trump for, I mean, how long now, you know?
Right, exactly. What about you, Taryn?
You know, I can't wait for them to use the Alex Jones trial as a precedent to go after CNN for all the crap and lies that they publish on a daily basis.
Yeah, some of which have gotten people killed. 100%. Dude, the fatalities during the Summer of Love were up between 20 and 30 in a single month or something. People died over the misinformation about George Floyd. You could absolutely prosecute people. Whoever reported that first at a major news network is criminally liable for some of those deaths. Or could be. You could argue that, certainly, at trial, using the Alex Jones arguments.
You remember during that hurricane, the white-haired Fed, I forget what his name is, you know, the gay guy. him standing in waist-high water, and the picture of a person like standing behind the cameraman, pointing the camera at him. It's like dry land is everywhere. He is just alone, standing in waist-high water.
Right.
Did you ever see that picture?
Not sure I have, actually. No, I don't think I have.
I should just show it to you to get your reaction. 1 second.
All right. Well,
Anderson Cooper water. That should be enough.
probably.
Yeah. He even reported on it himself to cover up. Look at this shit.
Wow.
You see that?
That is wild. Sorry, guys. You guys probably already know what he's talking about, but that's ridiculous. But, I mean, look, using the Alex Jones argument and the Alex Jones conviction as president, you could absolutely go after some of these people. Even though some of these people have wisely moved on from journalism and kept their heads down. Some of them probably know what's coming, to be honest.
Boss Ross. Do they really believe Trump will be going to jail or that he won't win? Americans love the underdog, and Trump is the underdog here.
Not just underdog, but outlaw. They love underdogs, and they love outlaws. And by the way, that's across partisan lines. Even as statist as the left have become, they still love to pretend they're rebels, right? You see this all the time. It's dangerous to be playing into Trump's narrative that hard.
People are asking to see the picture. Just type in Anderson Cooper fake flood. I mean,
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'll keep reading here, though. Lord Sean, Godspeed from the UK. Hope everything goes well at the election for you guys. Sadly, I am going to have to live with 5 years of socialism and rolling blackouts. Afraid for my family and the public.
Okay. Okay, guys, here we go.
He's not laughing at you. It's okay. You're going to be all right.
Kapow. There's your photo. The cameraman, it's like ankle deep, and this dude is on his knees in the water. Probably not an unfamiliar posture for Anderson Cooper, to be honest. But yeah, that's Anderson Cooper. That is pretty intense journalisming, I have to say.
It's just outrageous. You can get away with that shit. Paladin Dragoon Rider. How long till they announce the restoration of the draft over Ukraine? Godspeed.
Already responded to that one. If we're catching up to where we were before, then we might start to wrap it up here. And we can answer anything that remains tomorrow evening on Razor Fist Arcade, because it is getting late.
Emperor Creatine. Did you know that New York, there's a special law that governs exactly how much jail time Trump will be slapped with for his 34 convictions? For more information, try Googling Trump Rule 34.
Oh, really? Gosh. They were mentioning that on Arcaven Nights a couple of hours ago.
Triarch Viz Group. I think you read that one already. Name sounds familiar. I think you read that one. The figure 13. Is SCOTUS able to overturn this before sentencing?
Definitely answered that one.
Okay.
I read quite a few at the beginning here,
Wait,
so you might
safe
be in that
Chuck.
territory.
Yeah, I think we're in that territory now.
Maybe go for some of the bigger ones, and we'll try and burn through those, and then we will wrap things up. Again, we will read anything we don't get to tonight, tomorrow evening on Razor Fist Arcade.
Matt Grendel, thank you for the 20. In 2020, I voted in NM. No one ever asked me for an ID.
Read this one?
Okay. Bigger ones. Robert De Niro. Eddie, thank you for the rose. The Azure Nightmare. Thank you for the 20. Orange Man is a bad dude.
He's a bad man.
This president can save himself.
Anyone just picturing Trump in like a white t-shirt with the rolled up cigarette pack in the one sleeve, right?
Christian Serber. Thank you for the 20. What happens if the appeal gets denied or verdict upheld?
See, I don't see that happening because you automatically usually get a change of venue in that case. That was the big problem here. Was basically they tried him in like the only part of the country where he possibly could have been convicted, other than maybe like San Francisco, right? Just a deep like movie Bob's Balls blue county. That was where they tried him at, and they did that on purpose, right? Because they wanted the optics of this. They wanted to be able to say that he was a convicted felon. Again, I say the easy response from Trump to that charge is, okay, and Biden's an unconvicted felon. Talk about the energy grid, Joe. Talk about the Louisiana energy grid. 10% to who? It's a tee up for Trump to go down a whole rabbit hole during a debate.
Is it wrong of me for me to want him to do a low blow and bring up the 14-year-old daughter thing?
Right? Or what about the 4-year-old granddaughter that he pretends doesn't exist? What's the matter, Joe? This is the only 4-year-old girl you don't want to sniff? What's that about?
When disaster strikes. Thank you for the 20. Hey, Razor. Are you familiar with the band Master Boot Record?
No, I am not.
Their subgenre is avant-garde.
Avant-garde!
Chiptune. Synthesized heavy metal. Look up their Live in Winterthur concert on YouTube. Your mind will be blown.
Godspeed.
Lord Sean, thanks for laughing at mine and my country's pain, Razor. Hey, that's what we're here for. Skin Faxi? Trump is being helped? Are Dems fool enough to keep on the psycho for so long? So obviously, Overton window not always moved via positive propaganda. Malarkey. I simply fear the Republican backstab. Say he can't go to the RNC and then say he can't be the nominee.
Interesting. You see, and that's the verdict being 4 days before the RNC is crucial, and I mentioned that at the beginning of the offensive here today. I mean, that is crucial. Here we go. I got a full list of the charges. I'll go through just a few because some of them are repetitive. But are you about done on the big ones?
I mean, yeah, we could probably cut it there and save it for tomorrow.
Okay. So the charges date back to 2017 because, of course, even though it's quote-unquote hush money from 2007, we're using the date of 2017. By the way, the plaintiffs in the most recent Michael Jackson case, right, the one that I recorded the rants about with Wade Robson and such, they did the same thing. They did the exact same thing. They changed the date when the alleged offense took place so that the statute of limitations wouldn't expire. Because the first thing to die in our busted judicial system is always the statute of limitations. So, guilty on one count of an invoice from Michael Cohen. You're going to notice Michael Cohen's name coming up an awful lot of times here, which is interesting. Marked as a record of the Donald J. Trump revocable trust. Entry in the detailed general ledger for the Donald J. Trump revocable trust bearing voucher number, blah, blah, blah. Entry. So these are general vouchers. Check and check stub, Donald J. Trump revocable trust account. And again, if you paid attention to the testimony, you know what the Donald J. Trump revocable trust is, and that basically Cohen was entirely responsible for it and admitted it on the stand. But of course, pesky facts. Entry in the detail ledger for Donald J. Trump revocable trust. Check and check stub. More invoices from Michael J. Cohen, marked as a record of Donald J. Trump. Another entry in the detailed general ledger. Again, this is all stuff that Cohen took the fall for, basically, and isn't going to pay for. Let's see here. More checks. So like 4, 5, 6 check stubs from May 2017, September 2017, December 2017. This is the alleged kill shot in the case. Oh, I should finish reading this right here. Hold on. Where do we go? There we are. Merchant refused to allow an expert to... This was the wild part. He allowed Stormy Daniels, a woman who got paid to have sex on film, to be an expert witness for like an arrangement that was like supposed to be kind of a conspiracy thing that she wouldn't have even been aware of. She was just the recipient of the payments, right? That doesn't even make sense for her to be a witness on that count. And yet Merchant refused to allow an expert to testify that suppressing negative information that suppressing negative information was not illegal. It was Trump's former lawyer, a convicted perjurer, Michael Cohen, who was the star witness for the prosecution. Noted legal expert and Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz said it's clear the judge was insisting on a guilty verdict against Trump. The Daily Caller News Foundation revealed, quote, Merchant has come under fire for a perceived bias against Trump in the case. He imposed an expanded gag order on April 1st after Trump criticized the judge's daughter in multiple posts on Truth Social, including one linking to a New York Post report on Lauren Merchant's firm helping Democrats raise $93 million off the former president's indictment in the business records case. So the judge indirectly actually profited from the same case that he was overseeing. Still not cause for recusal. The report noted Merchant also made a $15 donation to Biden's presidential campaign in 2020 and 2 $10 donations to Democratic groups via ActBlue, one to a Stop Republicans group, and another to a progressive turnout project, according to Federal Election Commission records. Former Trump Corporation payroll lawyer William J. Brennan told America Report, shockingly, these payments on their face are not illegal. They have to show 2 things. They have to show there was malfeasance in the record keeping in the notations as to what the money was spent for, and then to make that huge leap to felony land, they have to show it was with the intent, not just the motive, but the intent to commit another crime, election fraud and election finance. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett said he'd never before seen such an abuse of America's legal system as that orchestrated by Bragg and Merchant. The jury of 7 men and 5 women had deliberated for 2 days. The case is the first time a former U.S. president has faced a criminal trial. But analysts have pointed out that now that the process has been established, future presidents can expect to be prosecuted for whatever their successors dislike about them after they leave office. Not unlike the way that we weaponize the impeachment process after Trump was elected. Are you guys noticing a theme here? Commentator Tucker Carlson said, import the third world, become the third world. That's what we just saw. This won't stop Trump. He'll win the election if he's not killed first. But it does mark the end of the fairest justice system in the world. I don't know about that one. Anyone who defends this verdict is a danger to you and your family. Go off, Tucker. Polls have shown that voters who responded have said their support for Trump will not be affected by a guilty claim by a jury in the leftist New York. In fact, 15% said it would make them more likely to vote for him. Trump pointed out that the trial was rigged and the judicial system's failures were disgraceful. Actually, he said disgraceful about 7 times. It was beautiful. I'm a very innocent man, he said. Today is a shameful day in American history, House Speaker Mike Johnson. Sit the fuck down. Democrats cheered as they convicted the leader of the opposing party on ridiculous charges predicated on the testimony of a disbarred convicted felon. This was a purely political exercise, not a legal one. Travesty of justice, said Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio. And Representative Elise Stefanik wrote, today's verdict shows how corrupt and rigged the American justice system has become under Joe Biden. It's been this way for a while, but go off. You could have done anything about it for years, even before Donald Trump became a politician. Isn't it wild to think back, by the way, that just how many years ago Donald Trump wasn't even in politics? Like, it wasn't until 2016 that he was even a politician. He's been elected, removed from office, been called an insurrectionist. He wasn't even a politician like 15 minutes ago. What is this? And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on X an image of an upside-down American flag, a symbol that is used to warn about a disaster. Did you see Chrissy Mayer post a picture of herself in like a an American flag bikini upside down? Oh, go off, Chrissy. I mean, sure, this trial looks tyrannical, but, you know, just you guys wait until the GOP start firing off a fusillade of sternly worded letters about it to the DOJ. I'll bet Merrick Garland looks up from his live infant sacrifice to Moloch and does some serious soul-searching before he plunges that Aztec dagger into its still-beating heart and devours the viscera therein. Take that, meanie poo-poo pee-pee pants! Your mileage may vary, but for me, the moment Judge Merchant of Venice said he would honor an even split decision of the jury as a unanimous conviction was around the time I considered the possibility this case was about as kosher as deep-fried bacon balls. I once shamelessly stole a phrase, as I said, from my talk radio idol, the magnificent Michael Savage, when I entitled a rant "The Stench from the Bench." And boys, is it ever making me clench. I don't know about you, but I sleep the sleep of the seraphim, knowing the very fate of our republic rests in the hands of the same legal system that acquitted OJ of double homicide, then threw the book at him for stealing back his own shit. There's something cosmically profound about a judge who loves the sound of his own voice, handing out long sentences. What fortune for all of us that Stormy Daniels could drop out of the Belmont Stakes to join the proceedings. She's done so very much to assure us all what a weapons-grade show trial this entire endeavor is. I'm not saying she's aging badly, but every time Stormy queefs out of her head gash, I get the deep, abiding desire to oil down my leather furniture. But while I sincerely believe none of these obstructivist charges or court cases were intended to stand up to even the slightest scrutiny, you'd be BSing us all if you failed to acknowledge that a large contingent of the Democratic faithful do indeed intend for this to end the commander-in-Cheeto and actually have him clapped in irons, you know, and of course making those Led Zeppelin license plates in prison for the rest of his natural life. That is the goal for some people. You can see it in their eyes, at least when the shark membrane slides off. What did I tell you the night after the election? The left have forever forsaken any attempt to present a coherent counter-argument or philosophy. This entire shadow play is an exercise in unbridled institutional power. If there ever was a leftist who deigned to debate, they have long since gotten up, excused themselves, and left the room. And in their place, a slavering horde of statist sycophants baying for the blood of the only man to upset their centralized apple cart in decades. As a country, a people, and a nation, we are going nowhere at all anyone wants to be, and we're doing so at Mach 20. And where's the representation, I ask you? Let not his first name deceive you. Judge Juan Merchant is whiter than Biden's hair plug pubes. All two of them. And don't even get me started on that Larry Fine-looking lawn gnome from the Manhattan case. You'd see more soul in one of Tom McDonald's cornrows. And while an NBA American or pronoun person might be proposed to officiate objectively on this trial, the mistrial of the century, I, for my humble part, have an alternate suggestion. I say appoint 2 gay judges. Let them try each other. I'm Razor Fist for Taryn Gell, for Tactical Hobo, and the offensive Godspeed.
RazörForce.